Good evening, all, and welcome to the Tactical Devils. I'm your host, Jarvis Cocker, and with me tonight I have a full panel, co-host Stu Wally, Mark Langridge, and some Meeks football. So people, stay tuned. We will break down the Man United-Manchester City game. We lost 3-0. It was a bad game, but we will talk about the details of the game. We will also talk about Amorim maybe losing the dressing room. There's been some reports from Chris Wheeler, and we will talk about everything Man United. So people, stay tuned. We will be back after the intro. So see you in a second. Boom, 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 and the Tactical Devils are back. I hope everybody's well and rested after the game yesterday. First of all, I just want to talk a little bit about the topic tonight, and this came out from Chris Wheeler. It's Amorim's retain United backing. The Manchester United hierarchy is still backing Rúben Amorim from now, but the players are losing confidence in the system. The players are struggling to get to grips with Amorim's style, with Bruno Fernandes reportedly being unhappy playing in a deeper midfield role. United sources say that it would be wrong to suggest Amorim has lost the dressing room and insist he still has the report among the squad. So now you know what we will talk about. Big up, guys. Big up, Stu, Meeks, and Mark. I hope everybody's well. So first of all, I want to say hi to Stu Wally, and thank you for holding the fort when I was away. And great show on Saturday. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks. Well, I'm very good. Made my debut finally. Worcester County have got me out and got me onto the pitch. So finally, it's taken a while of resistance, as you know, Jarvis, and the devilish tacticos, but I did it. I played for Worcester over 50s. Enjoyed the game. Interesting to compared to what I'm used to, but still fun. It was still we lost the game 2-1, but we're playing Huntington, Mark, actually in a few weeks down at Huntington. So I'm not quite sure. I don't think I've ever played at Huntington, so we're playing there in a few weeks. So I'm gonna stick it out for a few games, but made my debut, played quite well, played it right back, fellas. I demonstrated to the supporters, all four of them or five of them, that you can play in different positions on a football pitch and do pretty well, which is unlike our lads at Manchester United who can't seem to play on any football pitch and perform well, let alone different positions. But I had a great time. My lad played tonight, popped 5 in. So I was very proud dad moment as well. So yeah, I've had a really, really good weekend. The weather's been crap. And I'm not going to let Manchester United get me down anymore. I just can't be fucking bothered. So you're going to see a vibrant Stewie tonight rather than a despondent one.
Nice. So, guest we haven't had on for a while, some Meeks football. How are you doing, my friend? Going live directly from the US of A.
I'm doing good, Jarvis. Thank you for having me, as usual. Yes. I love being here and I love coming on. I just so happen to not have to go to work today, so it worked out.
Even better.
Good times.
The United fans turn up work yesterday.
And last but not least, Mark Langridge, Balls Out podcast. How was your weekend?
Weekend on the whole was all right. Not too bad. We played our FA Cup match. We've got a replay Tuesday night, so we're going to get the double payday. So as a club, we're buzzing. My under-18s came from 2-1 down at half time to win 4-2. So that was great. And then I come home to that pile of shit again on Sunday afternoon. So, but Being a United fan now for long enough, the last few years, everything I expected we got.
Yeah. Well, we lost the game yesterday, 3-0. I think there were some positives. I could actually see some positives, small but positives. But again, this Manchester City team isn't the best. We have seen them in better versions in previous years. So I think a lot of people feel a little bit disappointed. We had a little up after we won against Burnley in the dying minutes, penalty by Bruno. And maybe we expected this to be going on. Maybe we could have 2 in a row and beat Manchester City, a little brother in Manchester. But it didn't happen. So let's just talk about what have been going on the last 24 hours. There've been some reports now from Chris Wheeler, and apparently there are some players who's not happy with the system. He hasn't lost the dressing room, but it is what it is. But the United hierarchy with Sir Jim Ratcliffe is still supporting the manager. So who want to go first and have their say on the last hour's development in the club, according with Amorim?
I will yield to start with, just like a fabled US senator or senators, Samix, they yield the floor. I'm going to yield the floor to our good old friend Samix. And then Mark, and then we'll go from there.
Yes.
Honestly, I come from the I'm at a point now where I don't care what the players want. I'm sick of it. Every manager and everything. Oh, we don't want to play his tactics. We don't want to do this. We don't want. You get paid. Just shut up and play. Is where I'm coming from. Like, we've done this so many times. If this was the first time, I would be like, oh man, this manager's got to go. But this is Ollie had resistance, Ranić had resistance, Ten Hag had resistance, Jose Mourinho had resistance. How far are we going to go? Like, how long do we go before we stop pampering these overpaid players who underperform? That's where I come from. I honestly have nothing to say other than negative things. So maybe I shouldn't go on because I think it'll turn into like a negative video really quickly. And we just started.
Just speak your mind, speak the truth if you like. It's okay.
Absolutely.
I don't care. I mean, what was it? You said something about Chris Wheeler's what's it called? Story said that Bruno doesn't want to play deep. Is that what you said?
The report is the players are struggling to get grips with Amorim's system, with Bruno Fernandes reportedly being unhappy playing in a deeper midfield role.
I'm not sure that's true, and I don't. I'm pretty sure maybe the players are unhappy playing in that system. That part I can believe, because they've always been unhappy playing in every system. Every manager we bring in plays, but the part where you said Bruno is unhappy playing in a deeper role, that part is the only confusing part to me, because it feels like anytime we play him up front, he runs backwards and plays in a deeper role anyway. He goes where the ball goes. So I don't know that part of it, but the rest of it,
he doesn't like to make. I think he doesn't like the discipline of having to play a midfield role rather than the free role of a number 10. I think that's the point.
And that might be, that I can buy. I would buy that. That he doesn't like the fact that he's locked into a space that he needs to occupy at all times, instead of being given carte blanche to go wherever he wants. But to be honest with you, I think he's one of the bigger issues. I'm starting to come to terms with the fact that I think maybe he should have been gone this last summer. And when people tell me Amorim out, or they say, why do you always defend Amorim and blah, blah. I don't want to get into all of it. I just will say one thing. There's one decision Amorim made that I don't agree with, and that is keeping Bruno and not committing to a full rebuild. And I mean, like, if you're going to rebuild. Don't half rebuild and keep Bruno around. If you're going to rebuild, do it from the top to the bottom. Let's just tear it all up and rebuild. But other than that, I really don't care what the players want. I really don't.
No,
I don't know.
no.
How do you guys feel?
I think you're right. But the player power has to stop. But it's disturbing when you read stuff like this, because this is how it begins. And if the players don't trust the manager, I think the board needs to take it into account. They have two choices: either sack the manager or sack the players, because you can't get a functional squad with distrust in it. They have to trust the gaffer and believe in him. So, Mark, what's your take on the recent development?
I have quite a few takes on them. So what I'm going to first say is I implored everyone to go and find Amorim's press conference after the match. Make sure you've watched the interviews from after the games, because when I say this stuff, you're going to not necessarily understand or believe what I'm going to say. But one of the comments Amorim has come out with in his post-match interview was, if you understood the troubles I've had through the summer, then you wouldn't be asking me these questions, or words to that effect, which says everything's rosy at Man United. No, it wasn't. He obviously had more issues, hasn't necessarily got the players he wanted, or moved out the players he wanted quick enough. The Bruno Fernandes throwing people under the bus, and then this Chris Wheeler article coming out.
Yeah,
not having it. Get out of my club. Roy Keane was sacked from the club for talking about the players. So I expect the same thing to be done to Bruno Fernandes. It's gone on too far now. Stu just said it. He can play in multiple positions. I've played in multiple positions. You don't have to do your job well. You just have to do the job you're told to do, and you're certainly paid handsomely to do it. We were not that bad for the whole game. But what it was people unwilling to do certain things, but they don't want to get their hands dirty. When we move on to the tactical things later, certain players obviously don't want to commit because they're worried about injury. They're just, the deadwood is still there, and it's on the pitch. We've been calling for 10 new players. We got 5. But sometimes you've got to ask yourself, by keeping certain people and then giving them more power, what does that do to the players left? I've played in teams. I understand it. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've been on both sides of it. I've been the player that's been dropped, and I've been the player that's come in and put people's noses out of joint, which you can understand if you're a footballer, but you cannot understand leaks. You cannot understand player power. There should be no such thing as player power. Shamik, you touched on it. Since Alex Ferguson, every manager has been thrown under the bus by media because they couldn't get close to the club with Sir Alex Ferguson. If these articles and information coming out is false, ban those journalists. Get rid of them. We banned that was BBC for 2 years. I think it was a certain journalist from the BBC.
Yeah, BBC for 2 years, longer actually.
But the thing is, if it's false, they should just sue them for slandering. Or why don't we ever hear stuff like this?
Well, no, because that's what I want. I want either them to come out and say, we've tried to thingy, they've got valid evidence. Right, you got valid evidence. I want the player gone. We threw Garnacho out, didn't we? Because of his brother's leaks. That was one of the final straws, and then he just made it worse and worse and worse. This is constant. It's not the formation. And I'll tell you why it's not the formation. We haven't got the players to play this formation. But last season, we didn't have the players to play 4-3-3 under Ten Hag. But now our fan base want to go back to 4-3-3 because everyone plays 4-3-3. Let's go back to 4-4-2. Which everyone's grown up on that football pitch pretty much playing. There's an excuse always. Too many people loving a player and not loving Manchester United. We need the best for the club. And yesterday, the players didn't give the best for the club. And then the aftermath from our own fan base, we are not Manchester United. We need to change that second word to something else. And divided is not even the right word. It's almost like Manchester at war.
It is. before we go to Stu, I just want to say hi to all the people who have tuned in. I am Titanium, Jamie Wayne, DJ Superfly Guy, Catherine, Non Nonsense McDade, Mark O, Glazers Out, Danny B, Trevor Way, Das Sweets, all of you legends. I can't mention all of your names, but thank you for tuning in. 143 people watching us live, 64 on 78 on X and 64 on YouTube. But please, guys, girls, if this is your first time, subscribe to the channel and press that like. It really helps out the algorithms. And how could I forget I am Titanium? We have Tampa Guy, and you guy I haven't seen. Big up Tampa Guy. He says it's frustrating that an average Manchester City team could actually beat us. I understand. And I think this is what we feel. So Stu, Wooly, what's your take on the game and the recent developments?
In life, and I'm talking just everyday life, everybody gets up in the morning, goes to work, has some fun, etc., etc., etc. And there's actually in life more kind of unites us than divides us until you go look at football. Football is the absolute epitome of hell. It doesn't matter where you are or what you do in your life. You could have a brilliant life, and then 90 minutes destroys you or makes you feel even more alive. It's ridiculous what 90 minutes can do to 4 grown men on this channel and grown adults in our channel. It's absolutely crazy. And I'm with Samik and I'm with Mark. Look, I've been in dressing rooms, in and out of dressing rooms for decades, and I've seen it. I've seen it happen. I've seen players try and join together to push players out, join together to push coaches out, join together to push managers out. And do you know what, Jarvis? They are weak dressing rooms. That's what they are. They are filled with weak people. And then, and I included myself at that time in my earlier career. I would be a weak person because I'd just sitting around, I'd look at it. Today, I'm 55 years old. We played Saturday, and I'm sitting in the dressing room, and I'm still looking at like an 8-year-old, listening to the instructions that the gaffer was saying. Stu, I need you to play right back. I know centre half should visit. No worries, gaffer. I will do it. I will go there and I will play. And all I'll do is use my experience to understand the parameters of the pitch and where I need to be at any given time. And I listened constantly to the centre half when he was telling me to drop, when he wanted me to push, tuck in, pull out, take the ball, release the ball. And I'm at 55. I'm still learning the game of football, not the basics, but I'm learning differences. We're playing with different players, and we have a group of footballers that have come through the club, that have been successful in other clubs, that have enticed us to go and buy these players. And they seem to feel that if they get to Manchester United, then there's nowhere else to go. Well, actually, that was true 15 years ago. You were at the pinnacle of club football, but you're not anymore. You're mediocre at best. And we don't seem to have a footballer within our 11 that has got the absolute balls to get hold of Bruno, or to get hold of Dallo, or to get hold of Amorim's love child, to get the harmony back into the club. Now, Chris Wheeler can come out and say, by the way, that there is Bruno's lost the dressing room. That winds me up more than anything. If you as a player don't respect your manager, just go somewhere else. Don't be in football. Go and work in a factory, for 50 hours a week. Then see how you're feeling. Go and do what you do, Jarvis. Go and manage 30 staff. Have to listen to whining and crying all the time. Oh, I can't do this today. Why? Oh, fuck off. Fuck off. Just don't do it. I'm not interested. But you can't get away with it now because HR and wokeism has completely enveloped the world. And people are realizing now that by playing the game, they can get away with it. I read an interesting stat about Jose Mourinho the other day, and I know it's a little bit off-piste, but I want you to tell you, and it demonstrates football. Jose Mourinho's made something like £91 million out of football, and about 60 million of that is his sacking compensation. I mean, I don't know the exact figures, but what that tells me everything I need to know about the game. Everything I need to know about the game. I'll get a job and I'm going to get sacked and I don't care because it's not going to affect my life. But it affects everybody else's life who goes to support. You know, the guys that are going week in and week out, they're spending money, traveling abroad, spending money every week to go and watch Manchester United, whether they're driving 5 hours, down to Brighton or up to Newcastle, and then they've got to come back. And it's really saddening and heartbreaking that these players have got absolutely zero consciousness about what they're doing to us. So I don't like what I'm hearing. I don't like what I'm seeing. Vicky said to me yesterday, she goes, Amorim is just like a man-child. The way that he acts, nothing's ever his fault. And these players are exactly the same. They're not men. They just aren't men. They don't represent us four and the men in the chat. They don't represent the male form in any stretch of the imagination, because we are born fighters. Men and women are born fighters. We're born to scratch for everything that we get, and that have some kind of pride in yourself. These guys, and the reason I didn't listen to everything Mark, by the way, yesterday, is I don't want to listen to that shit anymore. I don't want to listen to somebody coming up and saying, oh, we know we can play better, we know we can do this, we know we can do that. I don't want to listen to that anymore. You're right, Mark, stealing a living, you're absolutely right. I'm fed up of listening to that crap. And until you make a footballer, by the way, I'm not talking about a manager now, until you make a footballer accountable, like they do in American football, they're accountable, those players there. Until you make a footballer accountable, it's going to continue and continue and continue. And, people don't like it when managers come out and chuck players under the bus or say, he was rubbish today. I quite like it. I need that honesty in my life. I've been brought up with that honesty. My dad, R.I.P., was hugely honest. I've always been honest with Jake in his footballing career, and I like honesty. But I've got to the stage where I'm so fed up with elite football, and that's any elite club, by the way. But I'd rather go and watch Shrewsbury Town get beat by Salford City 3-1, or I'd rather go and watch Telford United. I'd rather go and watch Mark's team, Jarvis's team, Bodo Glimt. I'd rather go and watch players that actually take the pitch with some sort of, willingness to go out and win. I just want them to win. And the thing is, guys, if we fire, and I don't think they will, and the reason I don't think they will is because they backed him, and they did the same with Ten Hag, and they're not going to run down the Ten Hag 100 meters anymore. So they're not going to do that. But what I would like to think is, what are we going to do if we do fire him? If these players don't want to play right in Amorim's system, then be man enough to come out to the fans and say, I don't want to play in this system. I want to transfer. Great. Because I tell you something for nothing, Jarvis, Smeeks and Mark and the Devilish Tacticos, we'd all be going, off you go then, mate. See you, Bruno. See you. Not interested. Go. We all want that. And the club has got to, I'm not even talking completely re-overhaul, but they've got to start taking these rotten apples and getting them gone. Now, as I say, I didn't listen to Amorim's comments. I couldn't. I didn't listen to Bruno's. I couldn't. I'm looking at Lamans. I'm looking at him on the bench. Jarvis, you've done a lot of research on Lamans. I'm looking at Donnarumma. And we realised in one game, the difference.
So I was right.
Yeah, the difference between a quality goalkeeper,
said humbly,
who can pull off a save like Mbumo, because if you saw the shot from behind Mbumo, that was going in all day long. No keeper was stopping that, but Donnarumma came in and changed the game with that one save. Because if we'd scored, we may well have gone on and done something in that game. I don't know. So, I'm in essence, Jarvis, I'm agreeing with both Smeeks and Mark, but just
okay.
My way.
I just see Noradin said, send me the link, please.
Yes.
We need some counterweight to get the debate going. Are you in focus, Smeeks?
No, I'm trying to get this stupid camera to stop looking at Cunha and look at me instead.
Yes, Cunha.
I don't blame it. I mean, I'd rather look at Cunha too, but
But by the way, talking about these useless footballers of ours, if you watch Terence Crawford and you watched Canelo fight on Saturday night, I know boxing is completely different to football, but those are two men at the very, very, very top of their game who gave everything. And Crawford just showed just what an absolute technician he is in the ring. We used to be doing that when we were Manchester United back under Fergie. We used to be technicians at the art of football. Crazy.
Stu, if I can say something about something you said earlier about Donnarumma. For me, the Donnarumma purchase was a mistake. We should have got Donnarumma, and for nothing else other than the fact that his personality is very, very. He has a lot of leadership qualities. Yep. You could see him talking to his back line every second of the game that he could. You could see him pushing and shoving people around on corner kicks and getting. I mean, I saw one where he put 2 hands on De Ligt and shoved him out of the way. And 2 seconds later, he's up in the air punching the ball away.
Yeah.
And you put him and Ruben Diaz in front of him, who's also talking to his entire back line the whole time. And you look at our squad, and we don't have that. We don't have those leaders. You know, a second ago, I forgot who said it, but one of you guys on the panel said that who's going to grab Bruno by the scruff of the neck and tell him to calm down? Who's going to talk to Delo? And that's the thing. We don't have that. That's my biggest worry. When I look at our squad, we have a lot of pieces missing. We all know we need a center midfielder. We all know we can use some wing backs with maybe a little more experience at playing the wing back position. We all know there are a lot of pieces that are still missing. But more importantly than all those pieces is that leader who is a true born natural leader and who plays the game safe, doesn't try to you want to have a Bruno who's going to try the flashy things. That's fine. But you got to have the one guy who keeps that leash on Bruno to make sure he doesn't go too chaotic. Do you get what I'm saying? Who keeps him under control so that he's only trying the flashy things at the right time in the right moments of games that need that. Sometimes the game doesn't need that.
The player is never the captain. The flashy player is never the captain because it's the captain who keeps the flashy player in check by giving the flashy player,
Right. You don't give Neymar the armband. Right, you don't give Neymar the arm unless you're Brazil and you have to, but naturally, normally you don't give Neymar the
armband. Big up, Noradin. Good to see you, my friend. How are you doing?
Noradin, good to see you, pal.
I'm fuming, but it's all good. It is what it is. It's Manchester derby, and they don't even lift the glove.
Yeah. It was a disappointing result, but. I saw a little bit of your match reaction yesterday. It was okay, but
I'm not even mad at the result. The result is a result. Football, there's only 3 results: win, lose, and a draw. It's how you lose. The way they lost, it's a disgrace, and it's not befitting of Manchester United shirt. So I blame fucking Amorim, and I blame these donkeys, and everything goes back to the owners and the people who are in charge of this football club. All of it. All of it. And I don't like the scapegoating of Lenny Yoro. I think it's disgraceful.
Oh, that was terrible. Yeah.
When Luke Shaw's playing like that, when the coach is name-checking Yoro, and then Bruno's lying throughout his teeth and saying, oh, I was supposed to mark Rodri. Rodri's 20 yards away from where Foden scored the goal.
He wasn't talking about – he was talking about like 30 seconds before, though. I was watching it too, but that's the other problem. It's like he almost changed the subject when he answered the question. He almost changed the subject because he started talking about something that happened literally 20 seconds before the goal was scored. But I agree. I mean, in the end, he didn't take responsibilities. I think what Nuruddin is saying here, and that is 100% correct. He should have just said, "I messed up," and we would have all respected that.
I'm not going to say that because he's been flagged for 4 goals in 4 games where he's made a mistake. But Nordin, I'd already said before you come on, I don't know if you caught it, Roy Keane was sacked for making those comments about players.
Yeah, he should have never mentioned another player. He should have never mentioned another
player. You do it in
player.
the dressing room, and you come out and say, "Look, we all make mistakes. You know, it was a miscommunication," and you don't mention a player. You just say miscommunication, and you could almost understand that, but it certainly wasn't a player 15 yards away from him. His fault, was it? So.
But guys, when it comes to this Lenny Euro debate, I've done some research. I watched the game over and tried to figure out what was actually going on. And I feel a lot of the biggest problem we have now under this Amorim, I think other teams have exposed us because we play with double pivot. We play 2 in central, and we all the time get overloaded. And Amorim's solution is one of the centre back to push up and be the third midfielder. But what I've seen so far is with a little bit of motion, because you can't man mark if the right wide centre back pushes up and the midfielder of the opposite team just moves over to the other side, it leaves us exposed because the wide centre back doesn't track him, he just drops down again. And then you're outnumbered over and over again. It happened like I would say 3 to 5 times in the first half, just small incidences. But I have some footage for you guys. If you want to see it, I can show it to you. But first of all, I want to talk to the master tactician himself, Samix. And have you seen this in your analysis of the games?
Honestly, Jarvis, I look for it all the time because I don't hear the end of it. When anytime I turn on YouTube or look at the X accounts, all I hear about is how we get overloaded in midfield. And I look for it all the time. And to me, look, I'm not saying it's easy, but to me, that's why you're outnumbering the opponent with your center backs. They're supposed to step up and the 10s are supposed to drop back, and you're supposed to switch off. That, someone's saying that like, oh, then the midfielder, sorry, Jarvis, and I'm not saying it negatively towards you, but I'm just saying when you say something and you make it sound simple, like, oh, all the midfielder has to do is jog to the other side and then the center back has to track back. Well, any time, it doesn't matter what formation you play and what tactics you play. There are times where you're going to have to switch off and let someone else pick up a man because of where he's running to. He's running away from your zone. No center back is allowed to chase a player everywhere, right? Like there are times where a player will go to a certain area of the pitch and you're no longer responsible for him. But then the other person has to be awake and realize that and go and mark. And they have to communicate. My biggest issue is that there has to be more communication, period. We were just talking about Donnarumma and Ruben Diaz and how well they communicate to the rest of their squad. Our team doesn't talk, and when they talk, it's whiny. It's not it's not like the old days. The old days, Carrick, Ferdinand, Vidic, Keane. I mean, I don't want to bring up all these names, but they all talked. They all talked to each other. They all told each other, step right, step left. He's yours. He's mine. Leave him. I don't see that. I just don't. And I think that's the real issue. The real issue isn't, I'm not going to blame the tactics. Look, we're not the only team to play a 3-4-3. You know what I mean? We're not the only team in history to ever play this. It's been played by a lot of good managers, and it works when the players execute. Every, and I mean every tactic and formation does have its strengths and weaknesses, and they all work when teams execute. When they don't execute, you look like an idiot. And it doesn't matter what, you know what I mean? Like, people have played 4-3-3 and looked like an idiot before.
Yeah.
So it's not, it's not that, when you play a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3, you're not.
I don't know if you fully understood. I have some problems when it comes to communication because this is not my main language, but let me just bring up the tactical board and I can try to explain it as easy as I can, But sometimes our wide centre backs need to push up, and okay, let me just.
And we did great in the first 12 minutes of that game with the wide center backs pushing up.
Because we usually have something like this. You have let's say Reinders, Foden try the channels and Rodri centrally, Silva coming in a little bit. So sometimes when we are pressing, let's say Rodri is on the ball, one of these two have to go, and we have one opening. Let's say Reinders here is open. Luke Shaw needs to press up, but when they move to the other side, let's say he moves in this pocket. Luke Shaw is not responsible for following him. The next guy who's stepping up is Lenny Yoro. So we have the wide centre backs. It's almost like one push up, one drop down, one push up, one drop down, and it's not a huge problem, but it's the timing of it all with the wide centre backs. Let's say Luke Shaw and Lenny Yoro in this instance, because we lose out. They are waiting a little bit too long, and they're not responding to the movement. They're waiting too long, and when the ball goes there, then they push up, and then it's too late, because then the midfielder have had the time to turn with the ball or play the 1-2s, and they are through. So again, the wide centre back, the third midfielder, he doesn't operate as a midfielder. He operates like a centre back who jumps. And that's a big problem.
Are you blaming that on the system as a whole, or are you blaming that on
I think it's a weakness that the other teams have figured out. I saw the same thing against Fulham over and over again. You saw Lukic and Sanderberg on the ball, and just small movements, and we were dragged out. And it opened up gaps. And you can see the opposition managers have figured this out, and Rúben Amorim is still doing the same thing. And then for me, is it about timing? Or is it about something wrong with the system?
I would say if you watch Inzaghi's Inter team from 2 years ago, you wouldn't see it because the players responded quicker. So you can split this field vertically into 5 different lanes.
Yes,
and you can say
no correct. 2 players in one lane.
Exactly. And then you can tell your center back, you're in charge of this lane, and you have to predict when one of the opposing team is about to step into that lane. Don't wait for the guy to step into the lane before you go. You can, if you're a center back, you should be able to see that lane all the way up from your side of the field all the way to the other side of the field. I mean, it's clear. That's what you're seeing. You're watching the whole game, hopefully in that lane. And your job is to man that lane. It's your lane. If you make a mistake in that lane, then you made a mistake in that lane. Like you can't say to
out of your lane into 2 other players' lane. Biggest mistake you can make, right?
Yes, but if you do that, you're supposed to have that leader type who's watching the whole game. The Ligt in that situation, who's playing central. The guy playing central should cover your ass and run up and take that line as high as possible so that his striker is offsides while he's covering your ass. Now, but that hopefully will not happen. But if it does happen,
what it is to me, it's lazy football. If you put that back up, Jarvis, put the tactics ball back up. It's lazy football. What you're actually explaining is how Ruben wants you to play. But I can see Nuruddin here absolutely cringing, because there's no way Agate should be anywhere near Rodri at this point in juncture of play. Okay, so you need to push Agate back, and you drop Ahmad and Mbeumo in between Silva and Docker.
Yeah, but the game plan from Amorim was to disrupt Rodri all the time. You could see us jumping on Rodri from all angles every time he had the ball.
Yeah, but he did it wrong. Just Agate, he does it wrong. If you to drop Ahmad and Mbeumo back into where they really should be, that should allow, which is between Rodri and Silva. Yeah, roughly there. Yeah. Then we don't have to pop out. Sure hasn't got to pop out. Yoro hasn't got to pop out.
Stu, you would have gone with not pressing them high. Is that what you're saying?
Right. Yeah, I would have gone with not pressing them high. I'd have allowed.
Yeah, you would have played like a mid block, basically.
Yeah, I'd have allowed them play into the middle. There's a reason why I'd have allowed them to do that. Is because I'm looking at ball players. I don't think Rodri had a particularly good game, guys. I'm not saying it's because we tried to jump on him. I don't think that we're seeing the Rodri that we saw before he got his injury. I really aren't. I didn't think Reinders was absolutely brilliant. All right, Foden showed flashes of it, but what we allowed them to do by pushing, and Jarvis is right, by the way. Jarvis, you are 100% right. By pushing Yoro up, by pushing Shaw up, you're creating too much space in behind. We don't have the pace with Maguire. We don't have the pace with De Ligt. And Mbeumo's not a lazy player. We know this.
It's not just the space in behind. It's also they are not operating as a midfielder. They are waiting until the midfielder receives the ball and then they jump. It's a timing of it all.
I don't think they're jumping. I think you're misreading what's going on. I think they're
I might. It's just my hunch.
Let me just
doing their job.
What I was going to say. Yeah. One second, Mark, and then
not doing their job, and it's pulling the centre back out to follow the player into that area. Which
your two players were Ahmad and Mbumo. And my point is here, Jarvis, my old mate, and Mark and Samix and Nuruddin, and Mbumo, he's more than happy to run the channel, isn't he? He's more than happy to run the middle third. And that's why I don't feel personally that we need Yoro to jump or we need Shaw to jump. Ahmad is a different kettle of fish. He doesn't run the middle third like Mbumo does, but Cunha would. And where I think he got it wrong yesterday was he forgot Ahmad isn't Cunha.
No, Stu, we spoke about it on Friday night. I said for play Mainoo in the 10, right?
Yes, you did, and you were right. You were right to do that.
But the main reason to do that is basically by playing Mainoo and Bruno, and in my eyes, Casemiro, for whatever reason he decided to drop him and play someone he doesn't trust.
Yeah.
You create that box midfield, which would have helped us because you've got a natural midfielder, you know, that we've been trying to pull in as a 6, playing in a 10. So he's going to start dropping down. But what happens is, and I will keep banging this drum until everyone realizes it. Every time Bruno goes and tries to do something, he comes out of the formation and comes out of all the passing lanes and everything that we set up. He disappears on the pitch. Then Casemiro moves over. Someone's then got to jump out. We said about it 2 weeks ago, Luke Shaw jumping out because Bruno found himself in the left back position. And this is a structure. When you play 3-5-2, you basically want 3 at the back, 2 wide, 2 midfielders, and you make that lovely little shape. Yeah. And you compress mid-block. You go man-for-man marking. You go mid-block, leaves you pace and space in behind for Mbumo, Ahmad. We did not mid-block, so therefore the whole structure of our front line was fucked because they couldn't run.
There's too big a gap. Too big a gap.
We left them the space in behind us because they were pressing so high. But when who were the ones pressing? Ugarte was jumping out, pressing too high. Bruno was pressing the players too high. So it was a little triangle, bish, bosh, bash, as we will see in video footage.
Sean, you should have watched Friday's show. I did a tactical piece on the 3-5-2, didn't I, Mark? Because that's how I would have played it. And, we should have had 3 in the middle of the park. But we've been talking about this.
Never step out into a midfielder space because what they should do is be going wide. So if the ball's on the right centre-back comes out with the right wing-back and the middle centre-back moves across and the furthest away CDM drops in as a 4th defender.
Yeah, because I think that's your point, isn't it, Jarvis? That's the point you're making, isn't it?
In to mark the midfielder, condenses it, and it leaves the only available player out wide on the opposite side of the pitch. That is how you condense the space in a 3-5-2. I know because I play it week in, week out. Okay.
Okay. Before we move on the debate, I have some footage, and we can just look at it and try to analyze and see if I'm wrong or right. Here you see City are starting to trying to play out. I think it's Guardiola on the ball. We have Rodri centrally. We have I think it's Reinders who's in this area, and our shape. We have, I think Ugarte is a little bit too high. And you have Ahmad and Mbumo. So we are pressing in a 1-3-1 shape or whatever, but it's not right. So when you look at it, just let it move on a little bit. Here you see suddenly Lenny Yoro in the picture, high up the pitch, because he's aware of Reinders. Who is picking up Reinders? Because Mbumo has the responsibility of
not Foden.
O'Reilly. No,
I think it's Reinders there.
Yeah, that's Reinders. Yeah,
like Foden's above Bruno.
Okay.
Yeah. So
he's got longer hair now, Smeeks. It's difficult to see.
47 on his back gives it away.
I know. It's the pictures are not good, but this is Lenny Yoro, and he's aware of Reinders here. Reinders looking over his shoulder, and Mbumo has the responsibility here of O'Reilly. I think it's they are just Ugarte is just taking care of Rodri. You don't want Rodri to pick up the ball.
No, what it is, they're all in the wrong position to those players on the pitch. Every single player there right now is in the wrong position. They all need to be 5 yards, 10 yards closer to their player to the right. So, and Mbumo should be marking the player on the touchline. Lenny Yoro should be back. Bruno should be on Foden. Ugarte should be on Reinders. Ahmad should be on the player you got circled, and Sesko presses him to go play out to the left. That's what.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. But this is what happens. In this instance, Lenny Yoro is on his man, and they move the ball to Rodri. And Reinders, he just moves into this pocket here because there's an opening. And Lenny Yoro, he don't follow him. He just drops back. And suddenly we are outnumbered. Yeah, but we are outnumbered. So why? We are basically one guy less. They have 3, we have 2 because Lenny Yoro is not interacting in this midfield. They have 3 against 2 then.
No,
so how we going to solve it? Because this happened against Fulham too.
Yeah, but it's this is what I'm saying. The 10s are playing too wide because you brought 10 or playing wingers in the 10 position. And Burmo is a wide player. Ahmad is a wide player. They naturally stay too wide in the 10 position. Cunha is the only one. What I'm saying is Ahmad was up closer to there. That ball wouldn't go in. He's 5 yards closer. He might not have even played the pass. He might have turned around and played it back to the goalkeeper and come out the other side.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what you're saying about Lenny Yoro, this ball here, I look at that. He's just turned and played it. But I could have played that straight in behind for Haaland, what we spoke about, Stu, because I know you are as out of position. And Haaland was a pitch to run into.
Also, Yoro just handed him off to Ugarte, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. See here?
So he's moved, 4 yards without getting involved in the play?
Yep. But I think this is a timing essence. And now you see Luke Shaw trying to push, but it's too late. Luke Shaw is here trying to push up in this area. Lenny Yoro. So there's something wrong with the double pivot and the wide centre backs. I can't 100% wrap my mind around it, but I think this is where the fault lies in this Amorim system.
But don't you think that Ahmad as balls out was saying, I forgot your name. I'm sorry. Was it Michael?
Mark.
As Mark was saying, Ahmad was completely in the wrong position. This whole thing could have been avoided if Ahmad was in a better position, as Mark was saying. Do you guys think, like, what I'm trying to get at is that a flaw in the system, or is that a player being in the wrong position? It's player
intelligence. It's player intelligence.
When it happens over and over again, I think it's a flaw in the system.
If you pull it back though, Jarvis, it's player intelligence as well. Just pull it back a little bit, and I want you to watch Bruno and Ugarte, because this is indicative on how morons play football and don't communicate. And I'm going to bring Nuruddin here because Nuruddin's a midfielder. Now, Ugarte, and Mark's right, by the way. I know he's out at the minute, but Mark's right. Ugarte should be looking more at Rodri, and Bruno should be looking more at Foden. But watch the switch when the ball's played. If you play it through now, just play at normal speed. Just watch the switch and the run that Bruno puts in instead of Ugarte, and it's dumb football. Watch now. There. Why isn't Ugarte going to Rodri and Bruno holding station? Because
it's a simple movement, one movement here and one movement here.
Yeah, but Bruno stays. Yeah, but Bruno stays. There is no movement because because if Bruno stays put, and you're talking Reinders ended up here, just put an arrow into where Bruno is. All Bruno's got to do is drop left or stop Reinders moving. This is what I don't understand with elite footballers. Now, Nuruddin, I know you well enough to know that you wouldn't have chased that if you were. Look at it. The switch there is fucking unbelievably dumb.
Because, no chance. Because as soon as I vacate that space, it's empty. They're through. So you hold position.
Yeah.
And the centre half is just like hold, you communicate, and what's it talking about? You communicate and you hold, and then Ugarte and Bruno should be communicating. Ugarte saying, you stay. I'll go. Stay.
So that's what I keep asking. Is it a system issue? If you guys can sit here and say these things, is it a system issue or is it an idiot player issue?
I think the communication becomes bad, but I genuinely do think the way he plays his 3-4-3 system is flawed, and I've never seen it played like this in the Premier League. Glasner does not play it like this. Conte does not play it like this. Wolves did not play it like this. Majority of team Brentford don't play the system like this. They don't play it like this. Amorim is the only person who's playing it like this.
Yeah. Now, if you think about it, on that crossover, as Agate is then running backwards, you don't run backwards in midfield. If you are running backwards in midfield, you haven't got a fucking Scooby where you are on the pitch. You're not defending at that point.
We lose.
You're trying to hold position. Yeah. Sorry, John. No, I just
want to ask a question. What time period was that in the game, Jarvis? Is that after we went 1-0 down?
No, it's early in the game. I think it was the 20th minute.
Yeah, it's early in the game, yeah.
Well, after we went 1-0 down, because if you look at it, let's see, we're talking about the first 10 to 12 minutes. We actually compact. The back three, the two midfielders and the front three were all joined up. When we were pressing them in a certain way and we were jumping at them, we weren't going as that high. We were actually winning the ball back mainly in the midfield. And we were making Reinders hurry on the ball. Reinders was horrendous. I counted in the first maybe 25 minutes, 39 minutes, he gave the ball away 4 times. And that is very much unlike him. And Rodri, he's not sharp at all. He is not sharp at all whatsoever. What disappoints me more that in the last 10 years, this is probably one of the crappiest City teams we've faced in the last 10 years. That's the fact. On this current form, this is one of the worst Man City teams we've faced in the last 10 years. But to beat us, you don't have to be great. You don't have to be good or great to beat this Manchester United team. We concede. In football, take away all the tactics. In football, it's simple. In football, it's simple. You have a team. If the team structurally is not set up and people know what they're doing, when you're on the ball, when you're off the ball, you're in trouble. If the team's conceding more goals than you're scoring, you're in trouble at any level of football. And that is where we're at. After 10 months with this coach, that is where we're at. And we said here, and I talked about it, I said, this guy plays in a specific system. Majority of the players who play in this team have never played this system. They were struggling with 4-2-1, whatever, 3. They were struggling with that. That's why Eric Ten Hag got sacked. They were struggling with that already. So I'm not saying it's all on the system, but what you're asking, especially Luke Shaw, I don't care what anybody tells me. The mobility is not there. He is immobile, and he's been hiding in majority of the games that I've watched. The 4 games I've watched, nothing has changed from where the way he was playing, and how lackadaisical and how late he is to covering his fellow defenders. And football is not like boxing, which Stu referred to earlier, but it's not like UFC. It's not like tennis. Football is communication, like Simon said. You cover each other. I make a mistake. You're supposed to cover the mistake. If you don't cover the centre backs or the right or the wing back, somebody's got to cover me in terms of the game by numbers. Modern football and what football has always been in, +1 or +2. How can we get +2? How can we overload on one side? Manchester United are very easy to play against. We're very easily overloaded.
Yeah.
Unless you play, there are many versions of 4-3-3. Not all teams play this. Matt, I'm sure you know that. Just because you have a formation, don't mean that everybody interprets the formation or whatever they say. Everybody's is different. Everybody's different. Every coach has a different way of playing to the way that they coach day in and day out on a training ground. And the 2 things is that, what are we doing when we're on the ball? What are we doing when we're off the ball? In football, it's about the space. When you have the ball, you create the space. You try to create space to get in and to get you into the opposition box. When you haven't got the ball, you restrict space. And Manchester United do not do that. These Manchester United players do not do that. And the gimmick, what I see is too many gimmicks. And even if we was changed it, do I think we've got the players in midfield to be able to compete in the Premier League week in, week out? No, we don't. Bruno, he hasn't got defensive instincts. It's the same shit we would say about Pogba. Some players, they don't have defensive instincts. They don't scan. They don't smell. Danger. Some players sense danger. They know. They sense it. They're on that para. They're like, shit, something's going to happen. They react quickly. Yeah. Certain players coasting through the game. And Bruno Fernandes, and I'm not picking him out, I'm not singling him out. As a captain, he's a disgrace because he's shouting and screaming at players on the football pitch. What is he doing? If you watch that guy again, shouting at the young players, grip on the experienced players, have a verbal discourse with the experienced players, not the young players on the pitch. And at the end of the day, where I see it is that you can't be half pregnant. You can't half back a coach who plays in a very specific type of system. You can't half back him. You either back him or you don't back him. And that is what the fundamentals is. That's where we're at. And every other press conference, every game we get beat, he talks about his job and how he's going to do this and going to do that. And if Ineos were to sack him, they will expose themselves for the frauds that they are. They are frauds. They are frauds.
They won't sack him, no, Nuruddin. You're right, because they can't. At this point in time, they can't. So,
well, the financial figures will be released on Wednesday.
Yes, that's right.
We'll know then. We will know what
everything you were talking about, though. You're talking common sense football, fella, because one thing you didn't mention, which you've mentioned before, and I bring it up all the time, is being able to listen to feet. Listen to feet in and around you. You can hear feet. You've got to be able to use both ears separately. You've got to be able to listen to conversation, communication in one, and what's happening around you in two, plus your eyes. That's all you ever need in football, your brain, your eyes, and your ears and your mouth. That's it. I've said it before. Football is 90% intelligence, 10% feet. Your feet just carry you there. Your brain decides what you're going to do when you get there with the ball. So you're the only one that makes that decision. You can be coached a million times. And Mark and Nuruddin, Jarvis, you all know it. You can be coached a million times. When you get the ball out on the left, I want you to drop it into Mark, and then Mark, I want you to pop it off to Nuruddin. Jarvis gets the ball, pops into Mark. Mark miscontrols it. Nuruddin's run 2 yards out. It's got fuck all to do with coaching. That's an error by Mark and an error by Nuruddin. Jarvis has done his part. The fact of the matter is this. We get the ball. We don't know what to do with it. We haven't got a fucking Scooby on what to do with it. Do we move it quickly? Do we move it slowly? Do I go 40 yards? Do I go 10 yards? All right. Do I go backwards? Do I go across? Do I turn inverted or do I turn outward? These are your decisions to make when the ball comes to your foot, irrespective and irrelevant what you've been coached during the week. You are the one that is making the decision. And until they give players and put players on remote controls that the manager can do absolutely everything, the disconnect between a manager and a player when you cross that line is vast. It's vast. It doesn't matter what you're told if you forget it or you don't do it. Nuruddin will tell you this. He played at a great level. Mark, you played at semi-pro level. Jarvis, so did you. I have. We know it's our fault. Nuruddin makes a pass now. Fucking hell, Nuruddin. Fuck. Nuruddin's just looking at me going, yeah, because he knows. I don't have to labour the point with him because he knows. Pull your finger out, Nuruddin. Yeah. And he gets on with it. And then Nuruddin, the next 5
I don't
years,
see our squad taking the responsibility of that, though. I see them actually pointing fingers at each other. That's number one. Number two, Nuruddin said something else that was actually right on point 100%. If you choose a manager like this, you back him 100%. You can't half back him. You've got to give him everything and every tool he needs. You can't tell him, well, just make that player a wing back. You have to give him a wing back. You can't give him Luke Shaw and say, make him a left center back who can cover a lot of ground. Luke Shaw cannot cover a lot of ground. It's just not going to happen. You can't give him midfielders like Casemiro, even Ugarte, because he needs players who can carry the ball and defend. And honestly, there was one, like I said, there was one mistake that Rúben Amorim made, which is keeping Bruno Fernandes this summer. And I think that was also a Jason Wilcox Ineos duty to tell him he doesn't fit your system. We're going to sell him so that we can get you more players that fit your system.
There's a reason we didn't sell him, and it's the same reason every time. We need these players who have a high value to keep their share price high. We cannot sell these players unless we get a prize pony to replace them. That's why we do it. It has always been that way since the Glazers take over. You keep the prize pony and they go on a free, because then they've got the full valuation out of them because they cannot sell them. Bruno Fernandes is our prize.
I mean, he came out and said, I mean, can you imagine a captain of Manchester United is negotiating with a team in Saudi for 3 weeks, and then at the end of the 3 weeks, he comes out, makes a statement. I think it might have been when he was away on international duty with Portugal, and he says, they don't need the money. The club don't need to sell me.
Yeah, that's how I knew it was. The offer was on the table, whether it was public or not. He said exactly what you said. He said, I've spoken with the club. The clubs have told me they don't need the money. So now that £100 million offer wasn't real, and the club have spoken and said, what do you want to do? Do you want to stay or do you want to go? Because they'll accept it either way. They put it in the player's pocket.
Well, yeah, and that's where I think the mistake was. They should have forced them out. They should have said, we want to take this money and, thank you very much for your service and bye. I think that was a huge mistake because, as Nuruddin said, I think they should have done a full rebuild for this manager, and it's too late now.
This is what I think the manager basically said in his press conference afterwards. You don't know what went on in the summer. Like, there's no way that he did not want a midfielder, a striker, a goalkeeper, and potentially a centre-back and build a spine. But
yeah, there's no way.
He doesn't have a say in any of our transfers now. That was made clear when they brought him in. The veto had gone, which Ten Hag had, and it's all on Jason Wilcox on the board.
And that's why you see every player that comes is in photos, not with Amorim, but with Jason Wilcox.
It's all Wilcox, yeah.
Yeah.
Just before we carry on, guys, we've got a third, and I'm going to point this out now, third super chat in 2 shows from Sanchit. Thank you so much.
Big up, Sanchit.
And Jarvis is going to give you the top jingle because you don't just get this jingle all the time. So Jarvis is going to give you the top jingle. Sanchit, you've been absolutely brilliant since you joined us. So thank you. You're an absolute legend, Sanchit. Thank you so much, pal. We really, really appreciate it. Sanchit says the bomb squad is almost out, yet we still say player attitude. No one has ever said Bruno is a bad player, but he's been called a player with a bad attitude. A leader with bad attitude. Bench him, please. Very well said, Sanchit. Thank you very much. So who wants to? Jarvis, do you want to reply?
It's written in his contract. He can never be subbed.
I was just about to say, can I reply to this?
Please, Mark, please.
People don't realise it's in their contracts. They have, when they sign the new contract, when they sign the big one, it's guaranteed game time. It's guaranteed minutes. It's there. Now, anyone who doesn't want to believe it, go back, look at the story of why we didn't sign Jude Bellingham, and it was because we couldn't guarantee him a certain amounts of minutes because they were already assigned to players. It is a fact. If you played a high enough level or know anyone who has, they will tell you it's there, but it's sort of an unwritten rule that you don't talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they don't get benched. That's why Rashford didn't get benched. And that's why he has to be put straight back in the team after he done it, because he was in breach of contract. That's it. It's like, we can't bench him now when he's injured. You're going to have to play him when he's injured because we've got guaranteed minutes.
That may be why Mainoo hasn't signed a new contract yet.
Yeah. Well, and
he might want guaranteed minutes.
30K
a year or whatever it is.
I just have to say I'm sorry. I am titanium for the volume. I don't know how I control the volume on the jingles. There's no way to do it. It is what it is. You get the warning. It's a super chat thingy coming on the bottom of the screen. So try to turn it down next time. And also, Sanchit, thank you for the super chat. Great question. Nuruddin is allowed to answer the next one, but I also want to shout out I am titanium for becoming a YouTube member. We have memberships going, so please, if you want to be a member of the Tactical Devils, you support the channel and us being able to make these shows for you because we make it for free. So it's the memberships that we live on. And also, Rob Always United comes in with the free membership chat being members for 2 months.
2
He
months.
says, I think Amorim is too technical rigid. And I think also that's a good point. And this is where I think he needs to loosen up. I think a lot of people have said he needs to switch up his tactics. But again, I don't think he should switch it up, but maybe tweak it a little bit, because I think we are getting figured out in a couple of games, and I see patterns, and I think that's a big problem.
We were in trouble. I have never in my life ever heard Iwobi ever come out after a game where he's had a good game and talk about the opposition and talk about what they did tactically.
Yeah, it's the first, wasn't it? Yeah.
Iwobi came out. And then you see the first goal. When have you ever seen Dogu come centrally and play in the pockets? Because they know what everything you said, the timing of the centre halves jumping in and jumping out is not there. Rodri picks up the ball, plays it through the lines. Dogu, I never see Dogu. Dogu's always hugging the touchline. You always see him sitting play. He's always out wide, try to take on the full back or the wing back or whatever. And they know that when they overload in certain areas in between the midfield and the centre halves, we're fucked.
Yeah. That's because
at the end of the day, I look at Amorim and I made the video Jarvis on my channel and I said, this guy is another guy who vacates the midfield. You cannot have coaches who disrespect the midfield in the fucking Premier League. That is unheard of. But we are the type of effing club that does it twice with 2 coaches. We do it twice. We double down. A coach who's asking even more of the players we get. And then we double down and get even another guy who does even worse, who's on steroids in terms of what he's asking the players to do. And this is where we're at. He's 40 years old. His assistant is 30-something years old.
Yeah, but this is why I would like to see.
They have never coached. They've never done anything in the Premier League. They don't know the way of that. And Bruno Fernandes exposed Amorim before the Europa League final. If you go and watch it, especially in the UK, in the build.
I know what you're talking about. It was him and Harry Maguire on it, one on either side, and he said that he didn't. I had to tell him he didn't realise how physical it was, and basically that the bottom team can beat the top team in the Premier League, unlike in Portugal.
But what I'd like to see us do is if we were to tuck in our 2 wing backs, and then Bumo will do that, Nuruddin. What you're talking about is exposing of our 2, of Dallo or Mazzari and Dorgu. But Mbumo and Ahmad, their job is to come in and tuck in and make it tight in the middle.
But they're not. They're
not doing it. That's
wide.
right. Yes, that's right.
Because they don't. The only guy who does it, and he does it, is Cunha. Because he's got the pace, he's got the football intelligence, and he's actually really deceptively really quick.
He's
good at. He's annoying. Yeah. He's the type of player you will go. He always gets a touch to the ball. You think you've got the ball past him, and he always finds a way of getting a touch to the ball or winning a bomb back for the ball. And then,
we got Amorim beat them with this formation.
No, but you should have watched the game, Mark. I'm sorry, you should have watched that game. I watched the game live on one of the channels that shows the Champions League, and I promise you now, the chances City missed. If you watch that game again, if you try to find that game again, it's
they should have been up. But what I'm saying is, they still tucked in and they countered. So everything that he's teaching them, we're not doing because we've seen what he wants them to do, and we're not doing it.
He had the Quandus and he had 2 proper number 10s. Jarvis always breaks it down in that kind of punched in pass from the centre. The 2 10s, the wing back, they already know the timings. Everything's already connected. You had Quenda who can carry the ball, playing as that on the left hand side, on the right hand side, and he would carry the ball. And then you see the cyborg, what's his name, playing for Arsenal now? Gyökeres makes that run. And he's dragging people, and then the ball gets played to him. And
but who's not making that run? Bruno. He's trying to get on the ball to play a pass.
He's trying to get on the ball. We have to understand, I genuinely, you as the coach know and understand that certain players, and the most critical moments, whatever you coach them to, if you give them new ideas, that the younger players are the easiest ones to download the information to. Right?
You have default.
Every club, Louis van Gaal, every club where he's at, I can name you the players. Xavi, Pio, the German captain who retired after for Bayern Munich. What was his name? You can play right back on the midfield. German.
Oh, you're on about Philip Lahm. You're on about Lahm. You're talking
Lahm.
about
Lahm.
Yeah.
Like Schweinsteiger. Every club where he's been to, Van Gaal, because he understands the way he coaches position of play, and they last. Those players last. Those players, those ideas stick with them. In the most critical conditions, times in football, majority players are going to refer to the way they play. The way Bruno hoofs the ball and plays his long balls is because Manchester United, when you come to Manchester United, that's the system was counter-attacking football. Even though counter-attacking is an aspect of every team does it, but Manchester United, it was the biggest thing because we used to let Maitland Greenwood and Rashford cheat and they'll come back and defend, and they used to play more in the corner towards the halfway, in between the centre-back and the full-back, and we win the ball back, boom, that ball was there sent 30, 40 yards to that. That's what we used to play with. For the way that Amorim wants to play is totally different to that, but a lot of these players' instincts are that. And then I look at the third goal. If you see the third goal, I'm like, yeah, maybe 5 minutes to go, you risk it. But when it's 2-0, you don't risk losing the third goal. Because football, you know that the most dangerous scoreline is 2-0, psychologically. Because football, like Stu said, is mental. So if the other team gets a goal in a derby, the momentum changes. The City fans in that stadium are nervous. You know, the players are not controlling the ball properly. Then you get the momentum, changes quickly. And we concede one of the most amateurish goals I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Ugarte passed to Luke Shaw. Instead of taking the touch, you whip it or you actually flick the ball. It's the type of thing you do where you just, you know what, get there a bit earlier and flick it out wide and somebody's in space, or make it a 50-50. But one thing you don't do is play that ball back to Harry Maguire, who's a slow. I'm faster than Maguire, and I've got no knee. I've had 4 surgeries. And I think I can beat him in the quick yards. Maguire, if it's 20, 30 yards, he can maybe get up to speed. But in 5 yards, he's not quick at all. The ball gets lost. Boom. Haaland is in his own half. The ball goes like that. It is what it is.
Yeah, I have the footage of that. But we have one super chat coming in, Grace Jordan. I will address the super chat, but Samix is a little bit conscious of time. So, I want to give the floor to Samix because I know you have analyzed the game. And did you see anything that we haven't talked about in yesterday's game, or do you still see positives and patterns in the Amorim system going forward?
So this is hard to talk about because everybody's kind of on edge. And that's why I'm actually not even making my video for another day, because I kind of want the mood to settle. But I will tell you that just in so far, I've broken down the first 35 minutes. So I haven't gone through the whole entire game yet, because sometimes I have to rewatch patterns over and over again before I feel confident to talk about them. I don't want to just watch the game and pretend I know what I'm talking about.
Took me 2 hours to watch the first half, just to say,
yeah, exactly,
I know how it is.
Exactly.
Rewind, watch over again 10 times.
I honestly just saw too many times just in the first 35 minutes where we could have really put their team under a lot of pressure and we chose the wrong pass. And that kills me. That breaks my heart. Now, in my own work, I'm a lot more, let's just say, offensive minded. So that's why when we talk about pressing patterns or defensive shapes, I ask you guys, I go, well, was that a tactical problem or is that a player intelligence problem? But when it comes to the offensive stuff, I feel very confident in my own abilities to analyze what's going on and who's making mistakes and what the manager wants the movement to be, where he wants the ball to go and things of that nature. And I'm telling you that with the ball, we are improving over last year, but we still make the dumbest mistakes where, if the video I'm going to make for this game, I'm going to point out things that are like clear as day for anybody, even if you've never watched football before, if you've never played football before. If I show you an image and I go, this gentleman has the ball and he's going to pass, he's got option A, B, or C. Which one would you take? Even if you've never played football before, you would say C, and then you'll see the player pass to A, where why would you pass to A? He's covered by 2 men, C is wide open. Do you get what I'm saying?
I've got the title for your video. Do Manchester United have any tactical intelligence? Because that's what it comes down to. We've spoken about it so many times.
So the only problem with that title, Mark, is that when you create a title, when you create a title for a YouTube video, you want your audience to be like curious as to what the answer is.
Okay, intelligence.
Everyone, right? Exactly, because everyone's gonna look at that title and go, "No, skip next video," right? But that's what I'm seeing. I'm just seeing too many mistakes. Even look, there are times where you make a mistake and you go, you know what, he made a mistake, but you can justify that 60% of the time is when someone's going to get that correct. 40% of the time, someone might make a mistake. But there are times where they make a mistake and you go, 95% of the time, I would have made the right choice. Like, why are you making the you know what I mean? Why is a Manchester United player not good enough to make a decision that 95% of us would have made the right decision at that time, even with this Premier League speed of play? We still would have made the right decision. Every ball doesn't have to go to Mbeumo. And that's another thing I've noticed is that we always do this thing every season where we have one player that we just send every ball to no matter what, even if the other side of the field is wide open. And like there were instances where Dorgu was just wide open. And whether it was Ahmad or Bruno.
Ahmad. I remember that. It was Ahmad. Yeah. Ahmad, the ball, he plays it the other way and he overplays it. To get
and he goes out of bounds.
And the ball was out wide. Yeah. And we're there.
Yeah, and we're there. Exactly.
To the left and one to the right. And he chases one on the right.
Exactly. And just like Noor said, and we're there. Like we were one pass away from having to make them defend on the back foot. And that happens too many times. That happens too many times.
That's not on the system. That's on individual players. Too many errors.
That's true.
Exactly.
I agree.
Exactly. With the ball, that's what I see. And again, like I said, I'm much better at analyzing stuff that we do with the ball than we do without the ball. Because without the ball, I really feel like sometimes we're guessing. Like we were just talking about Bruno stepping up and leaving a lane for Reinders a couple of minutes ago. I don't know what the manager wants him to do, but I guarantee you, I know that Rúben Amorim wants that ball to go to Dorgu, not Mbeumo in that situation. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, I don't know if Rúben Amorim wants Bruno to step forward or not, but I do. That's why it's easier for me to break down on the ball stuff, because on the ball stuff to me is like, I know Ruben doesn't want that pass. That would be insane. If that manager wants that pass, then I want that manager sacked, because there's no way you would want that pass. But the off the ball stuff, I don't know. I don't know if that's what Ruben wanted or if that's just a dumb decision Bruno made to step forward and leave that space open.
Do you understand why he has his head in his hands a lot of the time? And like I
100%.
do?
100%.
I see it all the time. And that's why I'm saying I don't feel it's the formation. It's the intelligence of the players not playing the formation.
100%. That's what I see too.
Not playing the patterns.
That's what I see too. There's way too many times you cut to the manager and he just he does something like this and walks back and goes and talks to his assistants going like, what the hell's going on? Like they're definitely not smart enough. Unfortunately, we don't have a squad that has a leader, a real leader. We don't have a squad full of intelligent players. When he his formation and how everybody talks about he should change his formation. Everybody uses the Real Madrid example. Xabi Alonso went to Real Madrid and he's not playing a 3-4-3, even though he was successful with 3-4-3. And my answer to that is always like, Xabi Alonso has such a great squad that it doesn't, he can go ahead and change his ways. Our squad sucked with a 4-3-3. They sucked with a 4-2-3-1. When you're coming in as a manager and you've been successful with a 3-4-3 and you've seen the squad play horrible in other formations, you might as well stick to your own guns. You might as well, if that's what you know. I know the 3-4-3 is what Ruben's probably thinking. And he goes, I'd like, maybe I would play a different formation if you prove to me that you can play that different formation. But our squad has proven they can't play any formation in the last, 8 years?
He literally said that. He literally said that.
He said it makes
all his life, he's played in like 4-4-2, 4-3-3, but this is his system, and when they get it, he can adapt and change it. He did say that. The big thing, I just feel as though this man for man, Manchester United do not have the physicality, do not have the know-how, they do not have the whatever intelligence, what you call that, Matt. the awareness to be able to play, and they do not have a way of playing as a team. The structure of the team is fundamentally flawed because the players that we have are not good enough in each of the positions which they play in.
Yeah, and you said it earlier. It's something that Jason Wilcox has to have known. It's something he should have told the board before summer, and he should have said, "Hey guys, we're going to need to spend a lot more than you think we're going to need to spend if we're going to give this a serious top 6 run." Because right now, I think we could get top 9. I truly believe we will end somewhere on 50 to 60 points, as is, without making any changes. I truly believe we will end. Look, I can't see these players. I was about to call them a different name. I can't see these players keep making a lot of these same mistakes. We will win some games once they get a little bit better rhythmically. And my forecast, because I looked at the schedule and I kind of figured, we're going to end somewhere on 50 to 60 points, and that'll be good enough for top 9, 8, maybe 7. If we end on like 52 points.
Which proves that Ineos and how they're lowering us of the standards of Manchester United. So that's what we become now. We're not even anywhere entertaining being in the 5th or fighting for maybe Champions League places. Yeah. Manchester United, we're going to fall behind year on year on year. And the guaranteed 100 million, you think that Liverpool are going to stop spending 120 million, 100 million? It's not just the money they're getting from the Champions League. It's the money that the Champions League, being in the Champions League, is bringing them through advertisers. And wait till you see Liverpool, the next couple, if they win the league again this year or go really high in the Champions League, they will break that billion over barrier in terms of revenue. Mark my words.
Yeah. Yeah. And they actually, I think they did the smartest thing ever, because this is going to be the biggest World Cup ever next summer. I really believe that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's the most teams, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the most teams. It's in the United States. There's going to be glitz and glamour and the best production. You're going to see the best camera angles. You'll see all kinds of drone shots. You're going to see a lot of production on this World Cup, and you're going to see Super Bowl-like commercials, I'm sure.
I know.
We'll see it in the Mexico and Canada, but the American games will constantly be called off for lightning strikes like they were for the World Club Cup, right?
Hopefully not. Hopefully they learned their lesson. But I do believe commercially this will be the biggest World Cup.
No, 100%. But are the pictures going to be good pictures? Are the crowds, the security, the levels, the organization? Because I saw the Copa America and it was a disaster.
Well, Copa America
So, in defense of my country, supposedly FIFA told stadiums like Atlanta they cannot put real grass on top of fake grass. So supposedly they're going to be taking out the fake pitch and actually laying down sod and planting grass, and grass. So supposedly it'll be good pitches. I can't guarantee that.
People have said the timeline from the end of the season to the start of the World Cup, or in how everything works there isn't enough time for the grass to take and not cut up when players are playing on it.
Yeah, but
look, there's going to be a bad example somewhere, right? There's going to be.
They won't do that, guys. They won't do that, guys. It'll be a mixture. It'll be artificial and grass.
No, they've been forced by FIFA. They've been told no artificial. It has
There's
to be
no artificial
grass.
allowed.
No. I bet you there'll be a mixture of artificial and grass. So you have to have a certain amount of artificial turf now. This is why Manchester United so good. The pitch is brilliant because it's got little bits of artificial turf intertwined in between it.
In the actual
turf itself. It's unbelievable. Yeah, that's why that should stop it cutting up. That's the idea of having a bit of artificial grass in there. It stops it cutting up. That's supposedly how it works. That's why United doesn't cut up anymore.
My point was about Liverpool spending so much, being so clever. I made a video like 2 months ago saying that next summer, I don't there's going to be more money to be made. And then what is it? 2 years from now, the TV deal is going to be renegotiated, or is it next year? But there's
it's been rejected by our parliament. So our TV deals won't be changing.
Yeah, they won't.
There's going to be more money in football, though, even if it's not TV deal, just sponsorship money.
It's international matches. We were speaking, was it last week, Stu, or the week before? We were speaking about it, and you got a little bit irate about the whole football should be played in the country it's meant to be, not played in all around the world. Because the Barcelona, is it Rayo Vallecano or someone like that?
They got postponed, didn't it?
Yeah, and it's going to happen. It's Champions League's moving that way, and we were saying though, can you pay more than 100 million for a player?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we reached the point. I know we paid 115. Okay, we'll say 150. We will never get to the 200 million Neymar ever again because it failed. If he had been a success, you can keep pushing the prices up. But the big money and they fail. Wirtz is failing at the moment at Liverpool.
I think it depends what you consider failure. I think if you're the team owner, business owner, and you bought Neymar for 200 million and made 200 million in shirt sales, even if you didn't win anything, as a businessman, you might not consider that a failure, right? Like you might go, well, I made my money back and I had Neymar grow my brand.
Consider it a failure, and therefore other clubs consider it a failure. But we did that with Ronaldo, and we still got rid of him quick enough.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, Grace Sheridan, for keeping you waiting. I'm so grateful for the super chat. Grace Sheridan, lovely name. £5 super chat coming in and say position one of the 10s in front of the double pivot, 3 in midfield, 2 wide strikers. It's simple. Give me the job and I'll take us back to the top.
She's right.
He said confidently. And I think a lot of us feel the same. We could easily just set up in a 4-2-3-1, play with a more secure midfield and better balance. But this is not the Amorim way. And we all knew this when Omar Barada and Wilcox and all the other guys signed Amorim. So
I'm adamant my formation works. We spoke about it Friday, 4-2-3-1. We have 3 10s. You play 3 10s behind a striker, and you have 2 double pip, 2 actual holding midfielders, 4 at the back, and let the fullbacks push forward 1 at a time. I think it would absolutely work with our player profiles that we have, and it would work for Amorim because he still gets his almost like wing backs, but from a 4. Because you have the double pivots.
You won't have the diamond set up in the right way, so. You know, it's all about traps. It's all about traps and directness.
Yeah, it comes to 4-3-2, 3-5-2. You know, that's the thing with formations. They're all bollocks. They're all the same anyway.
Well, Stu, how many times have you stepped on a football pitch and the manager's given you instructions and gone, well, this ain't fucking working. He ain't changing anything. Well, and you change it yourself.
All the time. All the time. Yeah,
all the time. But people won't do that now because they're too scared if it'll affect their stats or affect their profile. Their Instagram won't, they'll be clicked up for something. That's all they care about.
Or they won't get 90 on FIFA on their card. Well, he's only done me 85 for speed. Fuck off. Who cares? Who cares? Yeah. I don't know.
Well, again, thank you, Grace Sheridan, for
brilliant question.
Brilliant. I don't know, Samix, do you have more minutes for Q&A or?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
sure.
We haven't got
15 minutes, top of the hour. I gotta go.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do a Q&A. 15-minute Q&A.
10 hours later, we're still here. We have done 1 hour 28 minutes, so I think it's time to interact a little bit with the chat. You guys, the brilliant, the devilish tacticos, and do some questions. There's been a lot of things going on the last 12, 15 hours. Talk about Kobe Mainoo and Wayne Rooney. On Maguire, and the comments from Bruno on Lenny Euro. Amorim, he talks about the mentality to overcome 25% win rate so far. There's so many topics to cover, and you haven't asked what Jarvis did in Zagreb this weekend.
Oh yeah, you need to
ask a lot of questions. Get your questions in for the Q&A. I will play the jingle, so everybody turn down your volume a little bit, and we will do
the jingle is coming.
Jingle.
I keep saying it, Jarvis. We look like tiddlers in that. We look really, really
long
young.
time in the galaxy
Long
far,
time
far
ago.
away.
I know. Guys, you get your questions in for the Q&A. I am Titanium. I know who's left, but we will ask you a question. We've only got a few at the minute, so we've got about 15 minutes, guys, to get as much in as you can. And we'll get to everybody. Nuruddin will be back with us shortly. Here's a quick question for the whole panel. Catherine, no nonsense midday. She had to go a bit earlier as well. And she says, would all of you slot pulled out of a tackle like Luke Fatboy Shaw goes to make on Doco, lads? Well, that's a big question. I would have just body checked him. I just stood in front of him and made the ref make a decision for me, because the way that he went round Luke Shaw was fucking abysmal, absolutely fucking abysmal. I just got in front of him. I wouldn't have been obstruction because he would have been travelling into me, and I'd have just fucking done that. Jarvis, what would you have done?
Yeah, we can have a quick look at what happened. So he received the ball, Doku, and
abysmal how he received the ball.
And Luke Shaw.
Fuck, I don't know what he was doing.
Right there.
I'm going to give Doku some here. The speed that he does that at was phenomenal, because he plants his foot the other side and pushes back off. But if you notice, Luke Shaw's the only person out of 4 defenders, the only one square.
That's what I mean. Once you're square, you shouldn't fall for that. I mean, the idea of being square is you can go left or right. And so he only had to step left. Docker goes into him, play on.
But he's outside the box. Why did he body check him? Like, boom.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. You go left, Docker goes into him, play on. Because Docker's running. All I'm doing is standing there, ref. You can't give a free kick or a pen for that. Piss off. Get on with it.
You're outside the box. The movement's outside of the box. So.
That's all he had to do. I don't know what he did, what he was doing. What do you think, Samix? What would you have done?
I mean, I would have backpedaled. Anytime a dribbler is coming at me in any sport, I don't go for it, because anytime you got Neymar, you get Doku, you get that kind of player who's got fast reflexes, God-given gifts that I don't have, I'm backpedaling. I'm making you beat me without me stepping forward. If I step forward, you're going to go around me. Once I plant and he starts shuffling his feet, I'm taking 2 steps back. I'm not taking a step forward like Shaw's doing.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Yeah, ridiculous.
You know what I mean? Like,
that is not the reason we conceded that goal. Can we just put that out there? That is
no. We conceded that goal because Bruno didn't follow the runner. But we're talking about Luke Shaw, right? Because the question was about Luke Shaw. Yeah, you're 100% right, Mark. I mean, we did not concede the goal because Doku got a lane all the way to the end line. Because what's his name was helping anyway. Ugarte was there helping cover Luke Shaw's mistake. But if I was Luke Shaw, I wouldn't have stuck a foot out. I would have backpedaled. I'll stick a foot out if it's Rodri. I'm not sticking a foot out if it's Doku.
Yeah, which is why I'm moving across. I'm just moving left. That's all I'm doing. You're not going to get around me then, because
let him run into you. Yeah,
it's not going to happen.
Can I say something when it comes to this too? First rule of defense: delay.
Yeah,
and you just lead them away from the goal. It's not that hard. You have had good centre backs. One of the off the top of my head is, for example, Varane. He was really good in delaying. It wasn't an aggressive centre back. He delayed them and just moved them out of position, and then intercepted the ball, or others did it. And that's how you play defensively as a team. And we need more people. We are too aggressive, and I felt in the Manchester City game we were too aggressive at times, and we get overplayed because we fell into Manchester City's trap. And I think we need more delaying. If you all saw Liverpool against Burnley yesterday, you could look at Van Dijk, for example, a master in delaying the play and letting Konate be the hero and winning the ball. But Van Dijk only goes in with his body checks them and delays it. And also this becomes the same principle comes into the midfield. We are too aggressive, both Ugarte, both Bruno, too aggressive, too hot on the ball. And look at Sander Berge, never slide tackles. Look at Carrick in his day. delaying and waiting for the team, and then you defend as a unit. And this is where I think there's an issue where Amorim needs to address it. We need to teach these players first rule of defense: delay.
Well, I like a bit more brawn personally.
But why? But Jarvis, why? Like, why would Bruno ever change who he is as a footballer? His instincts, his run around, his go crazy. He's not. The more we concede goals, the more he tries to do other people's jobs and forgets about his own job.
Yeah, Bruno's a 5-a-side player and not an 11-a-side player.
Yeah, I don't think he's a 5-a-side player at the minute. He needs to pull his finger out. Great question.
If he played 5-a-side with me, I would have chinned him. You know why? He would have tried to do somebody else's job other than being staying back with me when it's 3 against 4.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, agreed. Question from Thomas. Who's Thomas? Thomas. And he says, interesting. Where do you guys honestly see our club heading if the club sack Amorim? Or let that one to the floor. Who wants to pick that one up?
I can pick it up because I'm always like, well, if they sack Amorim, they will forever be exposed for who they are. And for me, he can't just be sacked by himself. Omar Barada is the guy who went and got this guy, and he has to lose his job as well.
Barada or Wilcox?
Barada is the guy who flew. Wilcox is already about 2.5 months ago, 3 months ago. We can ask Jarvis and Stu. I don't know if they covered it on here, but he slightly was distant. There are murmurs that he's distanced himself from this 4-3, this system. He's distanced himself. And they asked the question, why are the youth team not playing like this? No, the youth said
we covered it on here. Yeah, we all spoke about it on here.
In that way system. Barada was the guy who got the private jet, went to Lisbon and got Amorim. Against the best advice of Ashworth. And the reason why Ashworth was sacked, Ashworth told them the most obvious thing. You don't have the fucking money to back this guy. And these players are not compatible to the football he wants to play. He was talking more about Thomas Frank. And then the way Ineos got it done and remixed it in the media was to go, Ashworth was talking about Southgate.
Yes, that's right. No, that's right. Great question. Thank you for that. I'm Titanium. A question for Mark. How come so many ancient civilizations built pyramids on different continents with no contact between them? What if they did have help from something not of this earth?
Can I just say this quickly? There was contact. People have been moving throughout this world for centuries. We think as this modern civilization, only we know how to move. It's laughable. And it is a disservice to all those different civilizations. They were moving. And actually, if you see the way the continents are, things were closer together and lots of land was joined even more.
So Nuruddin, you don't believe that aliens helped build the pyramids?
No chance. That's the biggest insult actually against Africans, actually.
That sounds to me like what an undercover alien would say.
Brilliant. It's an insult to be fair.
Yeah. Anyway, Mark, what's your reply to that?
My reply to it is, well, actually working on a thesis myself at the moment about an ancient civilization that's sort of been forgotten because of Göbekli Tepe in Turkey being predates everything that has ever been found. I think there was a civilization, there was a giant flood, which is spoken about in Sumeria, and the pyramids were all linked, and it's all to do with different frequencies. And they use, if you know anything about Nikola Tesla, he found using the natural frequencies in the air that you can draw electricity from it. And basically there were some kind of race that went around building this information. And if you look, there's wherever you go, there's pyramids. Wherever you go, there are wonders of the world which can't be explained, but they're all built out of the same materials. And there's no such thing as luck that these materials are constantly found around the world, and went, oh yeah, we're built out of that. And they all predate the Ice Age. and when a comet struck. It's very long-winded. There is a certain faith which may be controlling all the information that everyone has ever had because they're tied into all archaeological digs. So what you see and what you get are two different things in ancient history. But Nordin, you might actually be right. Someone may have helped him. It just may not have been aliens. You know, there's too many stories and too many artifacts that have gone missing that would help prove otherwise.
Okay. I'll just say, if I was an alien, I would have kidnapped the Glazers a long time ago.
No, let's get this back to football then. Samix is running out of time, so I want to make sure that I get to Samix's question. This is a good question from Daniel Brain. Quick yes or no, round the panel. Very, very simple. Would you take Eddie Howe if the season is terrible? Start with you, Jarvis.
Well, I like Eddie Howe. I like him, how he set up his team, always solid teams, a lot of physicality. And I think this is what we have lacked with Man United a long, long time now. We are too weak when it comes to the game. We get overrun, we get out muscled in games. And, just look at our corner kick statistics and other stuff like that. But I feel Eddie Howe could be a good fit. And let's say everything goes wrong and then Amorim gets a sack. Maybe Eddie Howe is the right man. But personally, I would go for Andoni Iraola. He's always been a favorite of mine, but Eddie Howe is not far down on the list.
Just quickly for me, Eddie Howe won't come to us. He'll be the next England manager, so he won't risk coming to us for that. So make a quick yes or no. Yeah. Yes. Would you take Eddie Howe? Yes or no?
I don't think we have the midfield to play how Eddie Howe wants to play. It'd be the same issues. So no, I guess. I don't know. Unless we're going to back him, like Nuruddin was saying earlier. We got Eddie Howe. We got to back him and get him when he needs. I don't mind him. Let's put it that way. He's not my number one choice, but yeah, I'd take him.
Okay. Nuruddin?
I said it. There's a video of me saying it 8 years ago.
Okay. And Mark, you got it as well, wouldn't you?
I back what you say, but can I add a question to the panel based on that?
Yeah.
If we did sack Amorim, what formation do we have to then bring a manager into play? Because do we move back to 4-3-3, but we brought a specific manager in now? And if we go back to a manager that plays 4-3-3, Ineos look even more stupid than they do right now?
Ooh, that's a good question.
No, I genuinely do think that most players can adapt. I genuinely think that majority of those players have played some time in their careers 4-3-3.
Oh, I think they can all play 4-3-3. I'm talking about as a board, you have an idea, you have a director of football, you have an idea, you've backed a manager who's going to play 3-5-2, 3-5-1.
Well, let me put it this way. Let me put it this way.
Well, the way they're going to remix it, to just say this to you, the way they're going to remix it and just say, well, Dan Ashworth was the director of football before. Wilcox is now, and Wilcox is picked. So Wilcox will be allowed to pick who the next coach is. And Wilcox, that's what you do. You have the club dictate who we're going to play. The director of football then searches out the coach that has to play the football the club picks. And as the reason why Alonso will never play, because Real Madrid, as far as I know, in my history of watching Real Madrid, they've never played three at the back. And there's certain football clubs, you can't just come and play some mad formation. You cannot. They stick to what they know and they buy players on that kind of system. That is one of the reasons why you can't go there and do it.
It's worth noting, though, that fellas, Mourinho 4-2-3-1, fired. Ollie, same system, fired. Ranić 4-2-2, fired. Ten Hag 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3, fired. Amorim 3-4-3, fired.
Doesn't matter.
Iraola comes in and plays a 3-5-2, fired. What's fucking left? There's nothing left.
4-4-2.
Samik said a few minutes ago they can't play any fucking system, this lot, and he's right. So it makes no difference.
I'm talking about the board.
Yes. I'm not going to lie to you. I genuinely do think if you would change Bruno, because we've been playing through Bruno in the last couple of managers.
Take the player out of this system.
You take the player out of that system.
Yes.
And then the players have to do it themselves. Did you see on Sunday how many times the whole team's given the ball to Bruno?
Yeah.
Why are you giving it to? Why don't you do something? You're a footballer.
Because he's always demanding the ball.
But no, ignore him.
I'd pay attention. I wouldn't pay attention to him either. I'd do the same. Right, Samik, I'm conscious you've got to go. So Dr. Straight Talk has a question for you. And he says, straight answer. Who do you think is to blame, the manager or the squad that was purchased for about £1 billion?
Yeah, so I'm going to answer this in a way that I think Nuruddin can come in right after me, because I think he speaks about this a lot more passionately than I do. But if you spend £1 billion building a shitty house, you can't blame the guy living in it. You know what I mean? We spent £1 billion on shit that no one else would have spent £1 billion on. You got a lot of clubs out there that spend money like crazy. Man City spends money like crazy. Liverpool just showed they would spend money like crazy. PSG spends money like crazy. We bought PSG's worst midfielder. I hate to say it, but that's what we did. We bought their worst midfielder. They bought someone better than the one we bought, right? We took their leftover. We gave it to them. We bought Real Madrid's old man midfielder. And then we built around a player we shouldn't be building around and gave him an armband. So if you're asking me, do I blame the manager or the shitty £1 billion squad? I blame the shitty £1 billion squad, because I don't know what this manager is capable of doing with a good squad. You don't blame the race car driver who's driving a broken car. You don't know what he can do. Give him a nice car and let's see what he could do. That's where I come.
A super analogy, that is, actually. I like that. It's a really, really good analogy. As I work in the motorsport world, I quite like that as well. You've got brilliant drivers who drive crappy cars or ride crappy motorcycles.
Manchester United is not a football club, but Manchester United is a brand. The
that's our
reason
problem
why
now. Yeah.
we buy players on high Galacticos and we plaster them all over and we create fans' favoritism with younger players is because we genuinely do not want to do anything about fixing the problem. And even when Fergie was there, if we're all going to admit, we neglected the most important positions in
we did.
English football.
Yeah.
It's the midfield. Fergie was talking about so that Glazers can repay down the debt.
The debt,
the 80 million that we bought Ronaldo, we bought Obertan, Michael Owen, and Michael Owen on a free, and what's his name?
I can't remember.
The winger, the right back that we had. We became it was a winger, but we played right back.
Valencia.
This is the biggest Valencia. This is the biggest thing. What we do, we go after Pogba. Was about the Pogba signing was about Adidas, and he was an Adidas ambassador, and we gave the agent 40 million. We only get 40 million to Juventus. 40 million of the 80 million went to the agent.
Yeah, really,
because he said he can get the job done. So this is the type of football go. We spent $1 billion. And we did it because we're not here to fix anything. If you have a look at the correlation between neglecting the midfield and Manchester United's demise, it's there for everybody to see.
Yeah,
honestly.
Can we also just point out Rasmus doing okay so far? 1 game, 1 goal. Scott McTominay, Anthony, players are leaving Man United and doing better.
Yeah, but there
Unana got man of the match.
Yeah, exactly. There is an argument to say that you get more time and space in Serie A. I mean, Koulibaly was like an amazing defender in Serie A. He came to Chelsea and he was exposed.
Listen, I said me and all of us could play in Serie A. All of us could play in Serie A.
The point I was just about to make was, we say about the players we bring in, but you look at about the players you sold. We sold 2 midfielders. We didn't buy 1. Yeah, how shit they are doesn't matter, and they went on to do better, right? And now actually we'll be like, can we keep them? We don't sign the right players when we do. You know, when we signed Martial, do you know who's 2 years younger than Martial? But we decided not to sign Mbappe. We went with Martial. We said no, he's too young, and we don't think he's good enough. We didn't sign him. We don't sign Haaland. We don't sign this because of the people apparently making decisions. The £1 billion spent.
To be honest, I wouldn't have signed Mbappe either. I don't rate him.
You know what? I'll tell you what player we said.
He was been amazing at Man United.
I would have taken him.
You know,
Yeah.
listen, you know, even one player we didn't go and sign was Adam Wharton. We didn't even send somebody to watch him. He was offered to Manchester United from Blackburn, and we said no. Yeah. We didn't even send anybody to go and watch him in the Championship.
You know, when you were offered a chance to sign R9 Ronaldo, and we wouldn't put up the money to PSV, then you've always got problems. Always got problems.
So as I'm going to back up thing, and is it Van Gaal who every time he's interviewed now? Manchester United is a commercial club.
Yeah, that's what it says. Sanchez, our very, very new member tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I had that one thing.
We really appreciate it. What is one thing Ruben can do immediately for United to make a positive impact? I'll go first on that. Drop Bruno Fernandes. Jarvis? That's all I'm going to say, because that would make a huge difference to our club. Jarvis?
I think it's to play Kobe Mainoo. I think we need someone who can set the tempo a little bit, drop it a little bit down, because I think we are going way too fast in the way we play. I think we are too aggressive. We don't have any ballers, and the central of the pitch, the core is where you win and lose football games. And I think we need a player like Kobe Mainoo, but maybe he's not the solution in the long term. But we need to go for someone, and that's why I said we had to sign Sander Berge. I think he would have been perfect, but we need someone like him, who's strong, who's pressure resistive, who can actually take care of the ball and let the others move into position so we can attack and defend in a unit. And I think that this is where our problem lies. We are too disjointed. It's all about timing, and you know, we attack with too much pace and not as a unit. So this is why I say play Kobe Mainoo.
Okay, so makes.
He's going with Stu.
One thing Ruben can do immediately. Shit. I have no idea. I don't want to make up something on the spot because I really don't know.
Okay, well keep that in your pocket then. So next time you're on, Samix, and then maybe answer it.
It's a good question.
It's a great question. I love it. You know, Nuruddin.
I think play a mid-block and play three in midfield. But yeah, I agree with you. Take Bruno out. We can't play through one player.
Yeah.
And players have to work out their jobs in the team for themselves. We can't play through. We cannot. Remember, Jarvis, 2 years ago, I said we play through Bruno and Rashford, and this has to stop. Because if they're both not on form, you're susceptible to those two players. Whatever they wake up on that day, you're susceptible to their mood. And you can't have. It's not tennis. It's not 2 against 2 in badminton. It's got a outfield players.
Yeah. No, I agree. Mark?
So mine's, you've already said drop Bruno. I've been saying that since before the season started. But I would actually say, for me, the most positive impact he could probably make on the team now is to start standing on the side of that pitch and screaming instructions at them. I think protect yourself, coach them through the game. If they're not doing what you telling them to do, like any Sunday league manager would do, drag them off the fucking pitch. Start doing that, and your fans watching you, 75,000 fans are going, even he's had enough. He's shouting at him. He's pulling them around the pitch. Just start coaching them. Instead of going down and hands on their heads, and I totally get why, coach them. But
I'd love to see Bruno, Ruben, with a tab and a pint like a Sunday league manager. That would be absolutely funny.
I genuinely think that will change people's opinion because he's from a different culture and he's a young manager. Everyone forgets he's young, how young he actually is. He is going to sit down and he is trying to keep that frustration in. He's media trained, and it's like, you can't do that. You're going to have to start kicking some water bottles. You're going to have to get sent off from the side of the pitch. And then people are going to start saying, actually, now I'm seeing that passion you're talking about at the end. Remember the knuckles? And we know that he broke the TV in the changing rooms, comes out and does a nice, calm interview. But when he went in, his knuckles were fine. When he came out for the interview, there was plasters over his knuckles, so he's either punched a wall or punched a player. I hope to think it was a player, body shot where it can't be seen. But Yeah, I want to see him start showing it and not holding it back.
Yeah,
I've got to be honest. With me, I pay no attention to the gaffer. Pay no attention to my skipper as well. Really, just get on with the game. Although I'm scared, I'm captain for the mighty Titan. Nobody ever pays any attention to me. Yeah, I just get on with the game and try and do that. But
good footballers are leaders. You don't need an armband to be a leader. But
I love my armband. Mine's yellow. Mine's yellow, big fucking captain. I even made sure that the captain looked great on there. So I walk out there, get that fucking on there, captain. Fucking here. No,
all you do is go toss a coin and tell the ref not to send your mates off. Right? That's all the captain does.
I don't even fucking do that. I just tell whatever, mate. You get heads or tails, heads.
But it is true, and we can talk for the entire night and day about what is expected of people on a pitch. And the only way to show them is to get out there and show them. And if your captain is pointing at players instead of watching where the ball is and getting robbed, he's done that twice now, telling people what to do and then not being in his correct position himself. And we've only played 4 league games. He's done it twice.
Well, he does it.
Listen, can we be honest as well and to say that at times he looks like he's out of his depth? Let's be honest.
What, the manager?
The club is too monstrous, and it's too.
Yeah, it is.
I agree. Any coach, if Van Gaal and Jose can't
deal with it,
come on.
Yeah, guys, we'll move on.
I'll say one other thing he could do: walk.
Yeah,
if he was to jack that job in, and Man United would be in serious trouble. And I mean, managers would look at it and go,
"He can't."
It's a payday, but fucking hell, I'm going to ruin
my
career.
Oh, yes, he can. Apparently, Benfica are waiting for him.
Well, I read that
as well.
Yeah, if the new president of Benfica gets elected, right? Because there's an election going on.
Is it 6 weeks? 6 weeks isn't the election, so time will tell. Right, guys, we've got to move on because we have still got loads of questions, and it is almost 2 hours. We're almost done 2 hours. We kind of answered this one already. Rob always United. What midfield would you play at the current squad? Most of us, all of us, would put Mainoo in.
As for Manchester United, I did.
What was that? Who was that? What was that? Who was that? Okay, what have we got? Fair play to Samix. So it's Wilcox that needs the sack. I don't think you were saying that, were you, Samix? But you were kind of alluding.
Well, I was saying if someone needs the sack, it's whoever built the squad, right? Like if you think about it, like if we were going to go back to the broken car analogy we talked about, whoever the mechanic was, not the driver.
Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah.
And let's just point out, Barada never done this job before. Wilcox never done this job before. Wilcox was not director of football at Southampton when we took him from there, and he was director of the academy at Man City.
With that said, isn't Rúben Amorim the most qualified out of those three? Because he's actually won a league title. I know it was a smaller league, but he's actually done the job and won a league title, whereas the other two have never done the job, period.
Yes.
Well, I think this to me. I'll answer that and just say, but he was allowed to change 15, 16 players.
100%, and I agree, and that's what he should have got. That's why he
was fully back.
Yeah, me and you agree on that. Me and you talk. We both talked the exact same thing. There is that Ineos has made the biggest mistake ever in hiring a man and then not giving him. You got to give him everything he needs. Maybe he doesn't get to choose the players, but he gets to choose the profile of the players and how many players need to come in and need to go out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Mohammed, again, we've kind of answered this question really with Sanchit's question. So I hope you were listening to that. Stephanie Griffiths, my favourite question of the evening. Should I watch United, Chelsea in the pub or just go on a pub crawl? I would say just go on a pub crawl.
Guys, I have a question for you guys. So if we finish in the top 8, is that okay with you?
Yes.
And look, I know you're going to say no because of our history and everything else, but I'm talking to you as a rebuild project. Forget our history, forget everything. Is this manager doing okay if we finish in the top 8 and then next season we go for top 4 or whatever? But is it okay to take a step back for one season and finish in the top 8, considering we were in 15th last season? Because that's really where I think we're going to end up. Like, I don't think it's as dire as people are making it out to be. I think we'll have somewhere around, like I said, 50 to 60 points and finish in the top 8. If the fan base is not ready for that, then I don't know what to tell you, because the owners we have cannot rebuild in one summer for a top 4, like, and build a top 4 squad. They just aren't capable of doing that. They've already proven that they can't.
Yeah. So I said to Mix would finish on 66. That was my take on it, and I think we'd finish top 5. And I'm still actually not. I still believe that. You know, I'm one for my word. I still believe.
Are you
that.
sure, Stu? Are you sure?
Yeah,
I'm
honestly,
a believer.
Believe it. But the interesting thing about what you say is correct, and you're never going to be able to change the amount of players that's required to do it. But as a person and as a man, as a human being, you know, a father, fuck me, I would be embarrassed every day I went into that club, and every single day I came home, I'd be embarrassed to face my family, my friends, my kids, my peers. I'd be embarrassed because I have a sense of pride. And I cannot believe that playing for Manchester United and playing football every day, which every one of us on this panel and within the Devilish Tacticos would absolutely love to do, irrespective of the money, forget the money, for $2,000 a week, we'd all absolutely rip their heads, you know, their hands off for it, because that's what we love to do. And you are presented with this opportunity and you can't be bothered. You walk around the pitch, you are grumpy, and you don't have what it takes to play. That's the problem for me. The individual player is the problem for me. We know we've got bigger issues. We know we've got problems with the owners. We know we've got problems with Ineos. We know Amorim has got issues. I think Amorim, Nuruddin's right. I think there are problems with him. I think there are times when he's out of his depth. When you're looking and speaking to us, and we've got a very, very high IQ, a level of football knowledge, but we're telling a Premier League manager, the manager of Manchester United, how to set up a team and why you should set up the team and what personnel to use and why you should use that personnel. We're not sitting on a chat show or a panel show and just saying, oh, this is what I'd do. We're saying this is what I'd do for this reason, and this is what the impact this player can have on the team. We are doing it through reasoned knowledge and I think, a good level of arguments for it. So that's what annoys me. That's what pisses me off. Where's the pride in Bruno? Where's the pride in Dallo, Xerxes? You know, I said it before.
They earn too much, Stu. They earn too much. You're talking about working class people. You're talking about as working class people. What we dream of, what we're doing. They are earning so much so that they're so detached.
They are.
They're so detached.
And the thing is, though, Nuruddin, you know, you talk about working on your left foot because your left foot was rubbish when you were coming through. But I did exactly the same when I was 8 years old. I made sure I could play football with my right and left foot. I made sure I could control it, cross it with my weak foot. I'm not brilliant on it, but I can do the basics on it. Half our players can't. Dorgu can't play with his right peg. We've seen. Ahmad can't play with his right peg. We've seen. Agate can't play with his left peg. We've seen. You know, where is the, you train 10 till 12, you eat lunch, and then you go back out and practice on your weaker element of your game. You're not doing that anymore because you're off to Aston Martin, or you're going to buy a new Gucci bag, or a fucking watch, or you're going home and doing something on your fucking PlayStation. Well, you know, you're not practicing your craft. You're not doing that. You know, players in lower leagues don't even do it anymore because a lower League 2 footballer is earning $6,000 a week now. $6,000 a fucking week. Championship players are on $100,000 a fucking week.
When I found out how many hours these players train, I was really disappointed. When I feel like a normal training day is like less than 5 hours, and that is spent in the locker room, like getting ready, like getting a massage and getting
gym work, things like that. They spend about 90
on the pitch for 2 hours. 2 hours, 90 minutes.
I work with college athletes, you know, in what I do as a coach, and I'm telling you, these guys train I mean train. I'm not counting the massages and the ice baths and everything else. Just becoming better players at the sport they play in for over 8 hours a day. Over 8 hours a day. I mean, 2 hours of that is in the gym. So over 6 hours a day with the ball, working on their
practice your craft. You've got to practice your craft, and I don't believe.
And they're the same age as these players. These are college guys in America, because in America we have college sports, right? So, you don't go pro until you're like 23 years old. So these guys I'm talking about are 21, 22 years old, working at their sport for over 6 hours a day and 2 hours of weight training. So 8 hours.
I like that though, Samik. I think that's a brilliant system, because at 23 years old, when you go pro, you are already playing in front. You've played in front of 100,000 people. I've seen your college sports. I know how, but the Rose Bowl is massive, isn't it? In college.
Yeah,
football.
yeah, it's huge. It's
huge.
It's not that far away from me, actually.
100,000 people go and watch that. They sell out their college stadiums week in, week out, in basketball, in baseball. They sell out. So when these guys are drafted and they go to whatever, and they step out in front of 60, 70, 80, 90, 100,000 people, they'd already done it in their career.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Like, our college teams are better than what you would consider an academy team for a Premier League. But they're more like the championship for you guys. Like, you know what I mean? Almost good enough for the pros. That's what the college is here.
But they've had that experience. We don't.
Can I just chime in here? There is a
Hold on one sec. As soon as we got rid of the reses, that was the biggest problem. As soon as you got rid of the reses, because Steven Gerrard would get injured, he'd come down and play in the reserves. You know, Vidic would be doing the same. You know, and young kids are playing against Premier League proven players, and that's how they got themselves fast tracked. They knew how to take a proper hit at 16, 17, and 18. They knew how to get, you know, they were going to get an elbow in the face. They knew exactly what football was about. As soon as they got rid of the reses, they started dicking about with under 18 football, under 21 football. The whole scape of football changed in this country. And now all they're doing, they're playing players their own age. So when they graduate to first team, Van Dijk comes in, bang. Within 30 seconds, he pops you on your arse. You're looking around, what the fuck's just happened to me? Because you've been hit by a fucking train, an absolute fucking train, rather than by somebody your own age. You might be, you know, 2 centimeters taller than you, 2 inches taller than you, whatever. But he ain't going to put the same force in as Van Dijk is. It's a massive fucking problem for us. Huge problem. Sorry, Mark.
So as I was just going to say, is there is a big reason and a big difference to American sport and the reasons they train for the hours they do and the reasons we don't do it over here. And that is the life change aspect. There is more of a chance of going from from pauper to prince in the American sports academies than there is than in the UK, just due to the biggest differences in lives and differences like that. We have a lot of players. I've got a player in my team this season that has just trialled to go to college in America, and he's waiting on his response and how he gets on this year with his videos, right? So we go out there to play and get our college scholarships. But they go out there, they see it as a I've made it kind of thing. I'm playing decent football, and they have the wrong attitude. Whereas the American way, and Samik, correct me if I'm wrong, is if I don't do this, I might be nothing, or my family will have nothing. It's still driven by the chance of changing their lives more than the player I've got, who comes from money already, and that's how he afforded to get out there and get onto these college scholarships, because it's always money based. Obi for Manchester United is training 2 hours in the afternoon after his Man United training with individual coaches, still doing football work. A lot of players do that, but it doesn't get spoken about. So it's 5 hours on the pitch. They do all their stuff. They go train with someone else in the afternoon. So that does happen for the younger players, but they're also monitored a lot more closer than what the Americans are. We used to player data chips, which are rife now, I think, in America. The player data is coming as one of the main tracking things. If it's not on your body, you're not tracking anything, and it's sort of but in the UK, you can't move.
Yeah, but the
You
biggest
can't- you
fail,
can't
the biggest
lose
fail
your
on
job.
that, the biggest fail on that is if Obi goes to Salford University to train, he's out the eyes of the coaches at Carrington. He wants
Yep.
to be in the eyes of the coaches at fucking Carrington, you know. And player attitude. It's all about attitude and attitude and attitude and attitude, and it always has been. And if
It's
you
not
don't,
the attitude. It's sports science is misused in the UK.
it's
This is
also
the thing.
attitude, because these players, they're going home and they're getting on fucking PS5 and dicking about, you know, instead of, but they are.
They're not the
Some of them are
high-profile
well.
ones.
Some of them are awake till 3-4 o'clock in the morning. I got friends who play
They
computer
are.
games.
They
Yeah.
are.
No,
That's what
Premiership
they're
players are playing against them 3-4
No,
o'clock
they're
in the
playing in
morning.
the early hours of the morning. They're still doing extra sessions in the afternoon, and
Yeah,
then
but
they're
if you're
going on
playing
it.
till early hours of the morning, it's a waste of time. All the stuff you've done in the afternoon, you fucked it over. You have to sleep. You've
Yeah.
got to be in bed. You've got to have a sleeping pattern, an eating pattern. They're doing all this. In America, the college system is set up. You are a professional athlete. I'm right, aren't I? Although you're not a professional athlete by class, you are a professional athlete. You have got to do X, Y, and Z, and they will, and everything, and you're set up. So when you are 23 and you go to the Cleveland Browns, you know exactly what you're supposed to do. And we don't do that. We have all these little schools. We've got coaching schools right by us. Yeah, come to this coaching school. You'll play like a professional. You won't, because you're not in that environment.
But they
This
have
is
the
what
drop
it
off. Samich, you can always jump in if I'm wrong here, but if they don't make it in football, soccer,
Not soccer. Everything else you're saying is correct. In soccer, it's actually the same as you described, as in like most of the kids come from money. Because to play soccer here as a kid, you pay a lot. You pay a lot of money to play. Any other sport you can play for free. Any other sport.
If you don't make it in those teams, because you don't have the 7
you're working at a restaurant or a gas station. So like you need to make it, or you're gonna have a shit job unless you're good in school. And even if you're good in school these days, that still doesn't guarantee you a good job, because the economy here is not that great.
Whereas here, you can foul at Manchester United, maybe play Championship, Div 1, Div 2, National League, and still have £3,000, £4,000, £5,000 income per week. I've got players at step 7 on 100. Well, the management, I probably shouldn't say, is on 3 figures a week. Management.
Yeah, they are up and down the country. Step 6, step 7.
I'm not going to say what. I almost did.
You're going to get 120 a game. But the thing is, it comes back to want, will, and attitude. We don't have it in the UK. We just don't have the types of Ronaldo. Ronaldo, that come to UK, made himself the player he is, totally transformed himself. Nobody else did it.
Why is that? Your economy is not that great, so I don't understand this. Like, because that sounds to me like you're talking as if the whole UK's economy is so great that people don't need to work hard.
No, football's dumb in the UK. It's just dumb. People in the UK, when it comes to football, it's dumb. It really is.
You mean they're overpaid even before they make it?
Last month doesn't work. He's 18, so he works a couple of hours. If he doesn't work a full-time job, and he probably took home £200 cash in the pocket from just playing football alone to top up his money. And he is playing County Div 1, so that's step 7, step 8.
Might even 8, might even step 8.
Which, if he stayed at our club and where we were last year, that could have been for £600 a week if he was scoring goals.
Yeah, no,
18 years of age. So he's clearing more from a lot of people's basic salary, because he won't be paying the tax on most of that. He'll be clearing people's basic salary in the UK from playing not even semi-professional, because it's not. You train once a week for an hour, maybe twice a week for maybe 3 hours, depending on which team it is, and you could clear over £600 a week.
No, see, in our country, if a college kid takes even $1 for playing the sport, he's no longer eligible to play.
He's not allowed to, as you know.
You can't make any money playing.
That's why they train like that. They have to make it to get that money. Otherwise, everything is for nothing. And that's sort of always been the American sport motto, isn't it? You've got to do or die, because otherwise you put all the hard work in, it comes to nothing. You get an injury, they end up topping themselves because
it should be in the UK. It should be in the UK. If you get academy level, not development. Sorry, if you get development squad level, not academy level, development squad level, parents think they've made it. Their kids, they haven't.
Yeah.
You've got to bring your own fucking kit in development squad.
Well, and then after you make it in sport here, you have to keep your levels high because there's someone behind you ready to take your job.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, final question. Stephanie says it's a bit tongue in cheek. Are Barada and Wilcox double agents? Because obviously Wilcox and Barada worked at each other for City. Quite interesting. Anyway, Jarvis, that concludes the Q&A. We're on 2 hours, 15 minutes. 243 of you watching. I'm not quite sure of the split. I have no idea what likes we're on. I haven't looked. But we need
60,
to get
70 something. Yeah. But people need to smash the like. Yeah.
Smash the likes after the show. Get in the comments. Let us know what you thought about the show tonight. I'll let you close up. Yeah.
We are on 64 likes, so if you haven't, now is the time to smash the like. I don't sit here and ask you to do it every 5th minute, even though the algorithms tell me I have to do it. But it's not that type of show. It's more like a podcast where we just talk for a couple of hours and you guys get to watch. So please do us a favor and smash the like. I think it's been an interesting show. I think we haven't had the time to cover every aspect of the Rúben Amorim future. I just want to say some ending words on this. I think the biggest problem with Rúben Amorim is Man United and Rúben Amorim don't mix because Rúben Amorim is a long-term project. It's a rebuild. And we know by history, on our experience when it comes to Man United, it hasn't happened under this ownership. And I think this is one of the biggest issues. We as a fan base don't have time for a long-term project. We want instant result, or at least we want to see goals and be entertained. And when we don't have anything of that, we are in trouble. 25% win rate is not good enough. And I think Rúben Amorim needs to step it up. The biggest problem for Rúben Amorim is these players can't drag themselves out of it. We can't even win 2 in a row. And that's the biggest problem. We've seen it. We've seen the same players. We've seen Dalot. We've seen Shaw. We've seen Harry Maguire. We've seen Bruno throwing managers under the bus. Managers that the fans love. Ole, people didn't like Ten Hag, but Ole was a special one. He cried when he got his sack in his last interview. He gave everything. Maybe he wasn't good enough, but he gave everything. And a lot of these players threw him under the bus. Another thing when it comes to this aspect is confidence. You need confidence to play in high level sports. And with the 25% win rate, the confidence is at an all-time low. And you could see it against Manchester City. They scored 1, and basically the game was over. We huffed and puffed a little bit, but we just waited. We waited for the inevitable, and Haaland stepped up and scored 2 more goals, and the game was dead. And also
I just want to add. Sorry, just Travis. I just want to add.
Yeah.
I think most of the things. I understand what you said about the fan base, but it's a disillusionment with the football club as a whole. That also then has a grip and affects the coaches and the manager. It affects them because we're so disillusioned with what we were and what we are now. We're not accepting who we are right currently in this moment. And each coach. But for me, Fergie said it. You have to win to get time. You have to win games to get time in modern football. You have to win to get time. Or you at least have to show something to the fan base for people to get behind you. And I'm afraid Ollie's shown what we could do. After miserable Jose, what he did to our football club, Ollie came in, we started scoring 5. How many times did we score 5? We're full of goals. Ollie wanted to take that next stage. He didn't have the players to play that football to take it to the next stage.
Yeah.
And
it's a 2-year backing, isn't it? Every 2 years, we don't back the manager. Every 2 years. We give him the players in the year 1, year 2, they get nothing.
And we know these owners, they will sack him if we don't miraculously turn things around. And I think this is where the problem lies. It's all based on hope right now, and I'm not really confident, and I'm afraid this rebuild will end this season. I believe in longevity. I backed every manager. I'm not about to throw Amorim under the bus either. Well, my senses, my gut tells me he won't make it. So there will be more time in different shows. We will have the debate with Amorim several times, and hopefully things will be better. Guys, get your comments in the non-live section after the show. I want to thank Stu for being the co-host. I want to thank Samix Football for coming on. Samix, when are you publishing your latest show?
Hopefully by tomorrow night. So probably for you guys in Europe, it'll be like Wednesday midday, because I'm 8 hours behind you guys.
And if you want quality breakdowns and tactical knowledge, go to Samix Football. Great channel. Go there and subscribe. And also Balls Out podcast with Mark Langridge. When are you going live next time?
What day are we today? So we've got a show tomorrow briefly before the Champions League starts. So we're looking to get live about 7:15, before the 8 o'clock kickoffs. And then we will have another preview on it'll be Friday night, because obviously we're 12:30 kickoff this weekend.
So, guys, don't forget, go and subscribe to Balls Out podcast. And last but not least, Mr. Structure United Real Therapy. When are you doing your next live? It's tomorrow night.
I've got a video out tomorrow night, maybe, but I've got a video out right now about just how disgraceful Bruno is, and Amorim for player checking Euro, because I'm just like, what you're asking this kid to do is too much, man. He's still developing, and you're asking too much.
It's interesting topic. So if you want to know more about Matt, go and subscribe to United Real Therapy and watch his last video. And Red or Dead 69, Rob Always United, Vissa and the Madness, Mr. B, Stephanie Griffith, Day 147, Sanshit, Mr. B, who else? Let me just scroll up. DJ Superfly Guy, Red Devil United. All of you guys, you're legends. You kept it alive in the live chat. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you, I Am Titanium, for becoming a new member. Same with Sanjeev and Rob Always United with the super chats, and Grace Sheridan. You are supporting a channel. We're not making any money out of this, but at least you help us to pay the licenses and everything for making the show. So it's been a great show, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. We will be live Thursday night, 9 p.m. as usual, Stu.
Yeah, we're back Thursday. Yeah, we're back Thursday.
The next one, so,
might be later. The reason it might be later, Jarvis, is Newcastle, Barcelona, Manchester City, Napoli are both playing that night.
Okay, we will go live on the whistle after that. So yeah,
because a lot of fans might be watching those clubs, might they?
Yes, and Body Glimt, I will watch them. Maybe they
and
play.
Body Glimt as well. Yeah. Arsenal play tomorrow night. I don't know when Liverpool play.
There's some League Cup going on.
Score a hat trick against City.
Yeah,
I'd love Hoyland to pop one in against City. It'd be absolutely fucking brilliant. Absolutely.
And McTominay.
Hoyland, McTominay, and De Bruyne.
Both assisted by De Bruyne.
Please.
That would be great.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie. 69 likes, 71 watching at the end of the show. Please smash the like and please leave a comment in the non-live section.
At least more than 6-7 likes.
It helps out the algorithms. Yes, it does. So please, everybody, stay tuned, and we will see you on the next one. Everybody have a good night, and bye. Take care. Bye.